Chapter 589. Long Zhen. Everyone was confused when they saw Long Zhen suddenly appear behind Longao. They didn't know what Long Zhen was trying to do. Under everyone's curious gazes, Long Zhen suddenly made his move. A palm ruthlessly struck Longao's back, directly sending him flying. What was going on? Wasn't Longao Long Heng's master? Long Zhen's sudden action stunned everyone. They didn't know what Long Zhen was trying to do. After all, it was rumored that Longao had a good relationship with the Long family. Otherwise, Longao wouldn't have charged into the sacred ground alone and killed 4 half-step saints for Long Heng. Longao never thought that Long Zhen would suddenly attack him. It was because he wasn't on guard against Long Zhen that Longao didn't even react when he was hit by Long Zhen. After flipping in the air, Longao came to a stop shakily. Even at this moment, Longao still had some lingering fear. If it wasn't for the desolate divine body, he believed that he would have been killed by Long Zhen's palm. Long Zhen. The voice was extremely cold. Longao instantly understood what was going on. He just realized that there was still an expert from the sacred ground who hadn't shown up and was secretly helping Yang Feng. Otherwise, he would have killed Yang Feng without a doubt. Although Yang Feng had broken through to the Saint Realm, his mental state was in chaos. As long as he used spatial teleportation and his innate ability, he had a chance to kill him. However, Longao had already guessed that Yang Feng had calmed his mental state in an instant. However, Longao never thought that the expert from the sacred ground would be Long Zhen, the #1 expert of the Long family. Longao was very curious. Who was Long Zhen? Forget Longao, even Long Bai and Long Heng were shocked by Long Zhen's actions. What was going on? Long Bai and Long Heng did not say anything because the two of them were so shocked that they could not speak. Even if they were beaten to death, they would never have imagined that the #1 expert of their family, their closest relative, would actually help the sacred grounds just now. Long Zhen seemed to have become a different person. He exuded a cold aura. He was only a world emperor, but he instantly became a saint, and a pinnacle saint at that. He even surpassed Yang Feng. Longao, since you've already guessed it, why ask me? As expected. Long Zhen, how should I address you? Dragon Sword can do it, so can Yang Zhen. There's one thing I don't understand. Since you're a reincarnator, then the Long family is also your family. Why did you do this to the Long family? Ha ha ha. The Long family is like floating clouds in my eyes. If it wasn't for the fact that I had to hide from my enemies, I wouldn't have killed Long Zhen and seized his soul to be reborn. So that's why. Longao knew very well that Long Zhen was not the #1 expert of the Long family at this moment, but the #1 expert of the sacred grounds. He had merely seized his soul to be reborn. Unfortunately, no one in the Long family or even the entire Cloud City knew about this. Longao, it seems that you come from a Long family. I really didn't expect that such a powerful dragon martial artist would appear on our small cloud island. Yang Zhen had already guessed that since Long Zhen had awakened his innate ability, he was definitely a dragon martial artist. Because of this, Yang Zhen was greedy and couldn't wait to obtain Long Zhen's dragon. If he could devour the dragon martial artist's soul, he believed that his strength would increase rapidly. How could Longao not know about Yang Zhen's thoughts? However, Longao was very surprised because he never imagined that 2 reincarnation experts would appear on a small cloud island. After all, Longao knew what a reincarnation expert represented. Countless islands in the outer sea. One had to admit that the outer sea was an unfathomable place. Longao's heart was also filled with killing intent, because he and the sacred land had already reached a situation where either you die or I die. If Yang Zhenjue awakened his divine soul and became a divine Dao warrior, then things would become even more troublesome. Longao was certain that Yang Zhen had awakened his spirit, it was just that it had not been fully awakened. Yang Zhen was equivalent to a second Wang Hao. Whether it was Yang Zhen or Wang Hao, no matter what happened, they had to be killed. Longao had always believed in one principle: if you cut the grass without removing the roots, there would be endless trouble in the future. Longao, you killed 4 half-sages of the sacred grounds. I will slowly let you know what it means to live a life worse than death. Turning around, Yang Zhen looked at Long Bai and suddenly said, "Seeing that you still respect me, I can spare the Long family. You should leave first." "I won't leave. Father, you leave first. No matter what, I will live and die with Master." Long Bai didn't know what to say when he saw the determination on his son's face. His son's actions were indeed worthy of respect, but his son was the family's only hope. Before Long Bai could say anything, Yang Zhen suddenly laughed coldly and said, "Long Heng, do you really want to die with your master? Sure, I can fulfill your wish. I will let the two of you die together later. Senior Long Bai, I will give you one last chance to leave. Otherwise, I don't recommend slaughtering the entire Long family." Yang Zhen's powerful aura intimidated everyone. As a saint expert and a reincarnation cultivator, Yang Zhen had the right to do so. Long Bai sighed deeply, but decided to stay in the end. He said, "I, Long Bai, have never done anything big in my life. This time, son, I will support you. No matter what happens, I will live and die with you." Long Bai's words caused the surrounding people to secretly cheer. Before they knew it, everyone had a good impression of Longao. After all, the sacred grounds were too sinister. You don't know the difference between life and death. I will make you regret this. Yang Zhen didn't care about the Long family at all. If the sacred grounds wanted to destroy the Long family, they could do it in a matter of minutes. As long as he wanted to, he could do it at any time. However, Yang Zhen didn't choose to deal with the Long family at this time. No matter what, the Long family was like a turtle in a jar that could be destroyed at any time. Right now, there was only one person he needed to deal with, and that was Longao, the powerful dragon martial practitioner in front of him. Yang Feng's state of mind was unstable and he had almost been killed, but Yang Zhen seemed very confident. "Longao, if you and I were to fight, take a guess. How many moves can you take?" "You." If I remember correctly, Yang Chen said the same thing just now. It seems that Yang Feng also said the same thing. It seems that the people of the sacred grounds like to boast. I can understand their shamelessness, but as a person who has lived 2 lives, instead of being a good person, you choose to act like a dog. I really feel sorry for the sacred grounds. Without giving Yang Zhen a chance to speak, Longao suddenly said, "Yang Zhen, I formally challenge you now. Do you dare to accept?" Chapter 590. You want to challenge me? Yang Zhen seemed a little surprised. He did not expect that Longao would take the initiative to challenge him. He was courting death. However, even though Yang Feng and Yang Zhen were both saints, they couldn't be compared to each other. No matter what, Yang Zhen was still a rebirth realm cultivator. Everyone around held their breath, looking forward to the battle between Longao and Yang Zhen. Longao's rampage in the Holy Land was full of twists and turns, and he was surrounded by dangers. What shocked everyone the most was that the top expert of the Long family, Long Zhen, was actually a reincarnation realm martial artist from the Holy Land. If it were not for Longao, no one would have known about this in their lifetime. "You don't dare." "Ha ha ha, I don't dare." "Longao, since you want to die, I will fulfill your wish. I accept your challenge. I want to see how powerful a dragon warrior is." Longao and Yang Zhen did not continue to talk nonsense, because both of them knew very well that this battle was a matter of life and death. Preemptive strike. In terms of realm, there was a difference of a whole level. Longao certainly would not sit still and wait for death. He wanted to change from passive to active. As soon as he made his move, his innate magical ability, Dragon Roar, was used. At the same time as the dragon's roar sounded, a huge dragon figure appeared behind him. A terrifying aura spread out and instantly enveloped the surrounding space. Even if Yang Zhen was a reincarnation realm martial artist and had broken through to the Saint realm, it was impossible for him to break through the innate magical ability, Dragon Roar. Self-created martial technique, sorrow of the heavens and earth. Longao was like a tornado and used teleportation. In the next second, he appeared beside Yang Zhen and instantly enveloped him. Teleportation, sorrow of the heavens and earth. In order to kill with one blow, Longao used 3 trump cards at the same time, in order to not give Yang Zhen any chance to react. Longao knew very well that he was a whole level lower than Yang Jian. If Yang Jian had the upper hand, it would be harder for him to take back the initiative. A half-saint transformed the spiritual power in the body into saint qi. A saint would condense the saint origin power in his body into a saint elixir pill to strengthen his own strength. Yang Jian had never imagined that Longao's attacks would be so fierce. Each move was stronger than the last. Even he himself could not react in time. If it had been an ordinary warrior, such as Yang Feng, in a state of unstable mental state, Longao might have taken advantage of the situation and killed him directly. However, Yang Jian's situation was completely different. Firstly, Yang Jian was a reincarnation realm warrior and his strength was not something that Yang Feng could compare with. Secondly, as a reincarnation realm warrior, Yang Jian's state of mind was relatively stable. Even if he was shocked, it would be difficult for his state of mind to be disturbed. In this way, Longao would be in even more danger in this battle. Heaven and earth grieved inside the tornado. When Longao directly released his chi of heaven and earth, Yang Jian was really shocked. Nirvana rebirth. Yang Jian did not dare to be the slightest bit careless. He discovered that Longao had too many secrets. He was a dragon martial artist, gifted magical powers, teleportation, and now he was releasing the chi of heaven and earth. Who was this person? Could it be that Longao is also a dragon warrior? Suddenly, Yang Jian seemed to have thought of something. He really could not figure out how Longao could be so powerful if he was not a so-called reincarnation realm warrior. With the strength of a half-saint, he could actually contend with a saint. Under normal circumstances, a half-saint warrior and a saint could not be compared at all. It was like a child standing in front of an adult and wanting to kill the adult with one palm. It was a joke in itself. What a normal half-saint warrior could not do was done by Longao. Moreover, he had just almost killed Yang Feng. This in itself showed that Longao's strength was enough to be called the number one person below the saint realm. Within the tornado, Longao used the chi of heaven and earth to try and limit Yang Jian's strength and speed. However, Yang Jian was ultimately a reincarnation realm warrior. He instantly broke through the chi of heaven and earth and began to counterattack. No one outside the tornado could see the great battle inside, but everyone could guess the outcome. Yang Jian would definitely kill Longao. In everyone's eyes, it was impossible for a half-saint to defeat a saint. Long Bai clenched his fists tightly. Even now, Long Bai seemed to be unable to react. No matter what, he had never imagined that his uncle, his biological uncle, was not a member of the Long family, but a reincarnation realm warrior from the sacred land. What should he do? What should the family do? Long Bai seemed to be at a loss. Longao, I will show you what the power of the divine way is. Yang Jian did not dare to be careless in the slightest. His opponent's strength had already exceeded his understanding. If he was unlucky and was killed, he would have suffered a great loss. It was precisely because of this that Yang Jian had used the remnant will of his spirit in order to ensure that nothing went wrong and that he could successfully kill Longao. A terrifying aura of the divine way surged out. Even though it could not suppress the chi of heaven and earth, it could suppress the grief of the heavens and earth. It would cause him to lose control and suppress his strength and speed. Having already fought with Wang Hao, Longao seemed to have gained some experience. He very calmly countered Yang Jian's every move. The tornado disappeared and Longao continuously used spatial teleportation to attack Yang Jian from different directions. The battle between the two of them had escalated, rising from the ground to the sky. Everyone was dumbfounded by the sight. Longao had actually lasted for such a long time. Everyone found it hard to believe. This was the first time that Longao had broken the norm. Not only could a half-saint fight a saint, he could even fight a saint to the death. Yang Feng's face was very gloomy. He had never imagined that because of a small Longao, not only had the sect lost 5 half-saints, but he had also almost been killed. Most importantly, the fact that the old ancestor was a reincarnation realm cultivator had been leaked. He believed that Yun City could no longer stay. Divine Way cultivators, or other cultivators, were most afraid of reincarnation realm cultivators. Once other people knew, There would be many people who would want to strangle the old ancestor in the cradle. They would not give the old ancestor a chance to awaken his spirit. At this moment, Yang Feng had never imagined that the old ancestor would use the remnant will of his spirit. In this way, it would be even more difficult for the old ancestor to comprehend the remnant will of his spirit. Who exactly was Longao? Longao's sudden appearance completely messed up the Holy Land, causing the Holy Land to be in a sorry state. The anger in Yang Feng's heart erupted like a volcano. However, the old ancestor had already taken action, so he couldn't help. Otherwise, he would lose face, and the old ancestor might vent his anger on him. In the end, Yang Feng forced himself to endure. At this moment, Yang Feng only had one wish, and that was that the old ancestor could kill Longao and suppress Yun City. As for the fact that the old ancestor was a reincarnation realm cultivator, it seemed that the old ancestor could only hide it for the time being. P.S. Today's minimum is 10 chapters. If there is time, I will update more. Everyone, please vote for Longao. Little 9 thanks. Chapter 591. Longao and Yang Zhen's battle continued to escalate. Yang Zhen originally thought that he could easily defeat his opponent by using his soul remnant will. But the result? Yang Zhen was extremely depressed. As a reincarnation realm cultivator and a saint realm cultivator, he couldn't even deal with a mere half-step saint. Where was his face? Thinking of this, Yang Zhen attacked even more crazily. Gradually, Longao started to be unable to resist. But with pressure, there was motivation. Longao had already absorbed a lot of soul remnant will. It was just that he hadn't merged with it yet. Now, under the constant pressure, his soul remnant will quickly merged with it. His realm also started to loosen. Catcher! Longao's face lit up. He hadn't broken through for a long time. Now, he instantly became a high-level half-step saint. Breakthrough in battle. Sensing that Longao's aura wasn't right, when everyone knew that Longao had broken through in battle, they were shocked to discover that not only had he not been killed by Yang Zhen, but he had also broken through 2 realms. What kind of concept was this? Longao clearly knew that although this battle was filled with danger, it was a rare opportunity for him. Since his cultivation could break through 2 realms, then it wasn't impossible for him to continue breaking through. Just as Longao thought of this, his aura suddenly soared again. The high-level half-step saint instantly broke through to the peak half-step saint realm. He was only 1 step away from officially breaking through to the saint realm. Peak half-step saint. Yang Zhen, who was attacking Longao, suddenly felt Longao break through 2 or 3 times. His expression changed slightly. Yang Zhen also started to panic. He used more and more soul remnant will. Because of this, although Longao had broken through, he still couldn't resist Yang Zhen's powerful attacks. This was the biggest difference between a half-step saint and a saint. Master, use the Chaos Tablet. Chaos Tablet? Hearing Long Fu's reminder, Longao was depressed to the extreme. Although he also wanted to use the primal Chaos Stone Tablet, was it possible? The Chaos Tablet was the most powerful artifact in the world. However, Longao was no fool. Since Long Fu had said so, it seemed that he should be able to use the Chaos Stone Tablet's power. He tried to sense the primal Chaos Stone Tablet. At this moment, Longao suddenly felt as if his flesh and blood were connected. He was very curious. Previously, he had not been able to sense the primal Chaos Stone Tablet, but now he had such a feeling. What exactly happened? Although he was shocked, Longao was pleasantly surprised. He tried to communicate with the Chaos Stone Tablet. In the next second, a rectangular stone appeared in Longao's hand. At first glance, it looked like a brick. It was not a Chaos Stone Tablet at all. Brick. Everyone looked at the brick that suddenly appeared in Longao's hand. They were all dumbfounded. Could it be that Longao wanted to use the brick to fight the enemy? When Yang Zhen saw the brick in Longao's hand, he was also surprised. He smiled and said, "Longao, is your brain damaged?" Longao didn't waste any more words. He was also looking forward to the power of the primal Chaos Stone Tablet. Holding the primal Chaos Stone Tablet in his hand, He smashed it fiercely. However, Longao couldn't sense any aura at all. What was going on? Longao didn't believe him. Long Fu wouldn't let him use the primal chaos stone tablet for no reason. But could a primal chaos stone tablet without any power help him smash a saint to death? However, at this moment, Longao suddenly felt that the chaos stone tablet in his hand seemed to be a bit heavier. Longao didn't care too much. Yang Jian didn't place Longao or the brick in Longao's eyes at all. He punched out with both fists. Yang Jian wanted to use pure strength to directly destroy Longao. But at this moment, Yang Jian's expression changed. That was because the brick in Longao's hand seemed to have 10,000 pounds of weight. Catcher, the sound of bones breaking came from his left and right arms. The chaos stone tablet had shrunk, but its original strength was still there. It was at least a few million pounds. Longao had already been recognized by the chaos stone tablet and was slowly fusing with it. Of course, he didn't feel any weight. But to others, the situation was completely different. A few million pounds was something that even a saint wouldn't be able to block. A single brick had nearly killed Longao. Not to mention others, even Longao was stunned. The chaos stone tablet seemed to be too heaven-defying. However, Longao was overjoyed. He had never imagined that the chaos stone tablet's strength would be so tyrannical. Just one smash had nearly killed Yang Jian. Although there was more or less contempt in Yang Jian's heart, Longao knew that the chaos stone tablet was terrifying. Without the slightest hesitation, Longao viciously smashed the brick at Yang Jian. With the previous example, how would Yang Jian dare to continue fighting head-on? As he dodged continuously, he felt extremely frustrated in his heart. Just what was that brick in his opponent's hand? A divine artifact. In an instant, Yang Jian had already guessed that although the brick in Longao's hand looked ordinary, it was actually a powerful divine artifact. As a divine martial artist in his previous life, how could he not recognize a divine artifact? If he was at his peak, he wouldn't be afraid at all. But the current situation was different. His opponent was already a peak half-saint. With the help of a powerful divine artifact, he could compare to a saint. If he didn't pay attention, wouldn't he die in vain? Because of this, Yang Jian didn't dare to be the slightest bit careless. At this moment, Yang Feng, who had been wavering left and right, suddenly charged forward. In this battle, first it was a swarm, then it was a battle of attrition, and now it was a battle of numbers. One had to admit that the Holy Land was shameless to the extreme. Even if they won this battle, the Holy Land's reputation would be completely lost. But things had already come to this point. Yang Jian and Yang Feng couldn't care less. Two saints teamed up to fight Longao alone, but Longao didn't have the slightest fear. With the brick in hand, he rushed out and smashed left and right, instantly engaging in a fierce battle with the two saints. Smashing the brick madly, 1 against 2. In this battle, Longao had already become the god of war in everyone's hearts, the god of war. Whether Longao lived or died in this battle, the 4 words Longao's god of war would spread throughout the countless islands in the outer sea. With the strength of one person, he killed 4 saints and fought 2 saints alone. How many people in the world could do this? Longao fought Yang Jian and Yang Feng alone. The battle between the 3 could be described as earth-shattering. They fought from the ground to the 9th heaven, and from the 9th heaven to the ground. Back and forth, the battle between the 3 continued to escalate. Neither Yang Jian nor Yang Feng dared to touch the brick in Longao's hand. As for Yang Jian's broken arms, they were instantly reconnected. After all, this kind of fracture was nothing to a saint. But even so, Yang Jian knew the power of Longao's brick. P.S. I got up late and went to bed late last night. My wife didn't allow me to get up. Hehe, please forgive me. Chapter 592. Longao was fighting 1 against 2, but he still had the upper hand. Everyone was very clear in their hearts that the biggest reason why Longao was able to force the 2 of them was because of the brick in his hands. No one knew the origin of the brick in Longao's hand. It was actually able to fight against 2 saints by itself and forcefully suppress the joint forces of 2 saints. The brick was too powerful. Longao kept smashing the brick in his hand, not giving the two any chance to breathe. Now that things had reached this point, Yang Feng and Yang Jian both had thoughts of retreating. As the saying goes, revenge is a dish best served cold. As long as the green hills remain, one need not worry about firewood. The two looked at each other and turned to leave at the same time. However, at this moment, Longao suddenly used the so-called spatial teleportation and directly appeared in front of Yang Feng. Without any hesitation, he kicked Yang Feng's butt. Ancestor. Yang Jian did not care about Yang Feng's life at all. He ran away as fast as he could and disappeared without a trace in the blink of an eye. Yang Jian abandoned Yang Feng? Everyone cursed Yang Jian fiercely. No matter what, Yang Feng was still a member of the sacred land. This time, the sacred land was completely destroyed. No one could have predicted this result. Yang Jian ran away, but Yang Feng stayed. Originally, as a saint, if Yang Feng fought with all his strength, it was still unknown whether Longao could kill him. However, Yang Feng was in despair now. He seemed to have forgotten that Longao was actually only a half-saint and not a saint. Therefore, he gave up resisting. Longao didn't have the slightest bit of mercy because he deeply understood that being merciful to the enemy was being cruel to oneself. Rather than having endless troubles in the future, it was better to cut the weeds and eliminate the roots now. Longao put the Chaos Stone tablet into his dantian and started smashing with both fists. Kill the chicken to warn the monkey. Longao knew very well that he would leave Cloud Island sooner or later. Even if Longao could suppress Cloud Island temporarily with his power, what about the future? Therefore, Longao was prepared to smash Yang Feng to death as a show for the surrounding people. In just a few minutes, Yang Feng was already on the verge of death. Longao directly smashed him to death, and directly put Yang Chen's soul slave into the blood pool, preparing to refine his soul. Longao finally realized the benefits of having a powerful soul. If not for the fact that he had fused with his soul, not to mention making a breakthrough in his cultivation, he would have been killed by Yang Jian by now. After killing 4 half-step saints and smashing Yang Feng to death, Longao stood there like a war god, his might unrivaled. The Longao battle god, the might of the battle god. Everyone looked at Longao with fear and trepidation. After that, Longao handed over everything to Long Bai. With the help of the 10 great sacred beasts, Long Bai was confident that he could completely destroy the sacred ground in a short time. Long Bai was very worried. Even if the Long family temporarily became the overlord of Cloud Island, it would not be easy for them to maintain their position. However, all these problems were no longer a problem. No matter what, the Long family had the 10 great sacred beasts to protect them. Dominating Cloud Island would be a simple matter. Long Bai heaved a sigh of relief. Fortunately, he had come this time. Otherwise, it would be hard to imagine how the sacred ground would deal with the Long family in the future. The news of Longao destroying the sacred ground spread out in an instant. Those who received the news were all shocked. From this moment on, Longao's name was completely famous in the Cloud Island. Word of the battle god Longao also spread. With regards to this nickname, Longao felt helpless. However, there was nothing he could do about it. Unknowingly, the news of Longao on the Cloud Island spread out slowly. The surrounding islands all knew that there was such a god of war on the Cloud Island. There were obviously many people in this world who had nothing better to do. When they heard that Longao had called himself the battle god, they were immediately unhappy. The half-sages and saints of the surrounding islands all rushed over, wanting to see the so-called battle god of Cloud Island. Longao chose to ignore them. Longao dealt with all the challengers. With the Chaos Stone tablet, he was not afraid of any saints. As for half-sages, they were simply courting death. Long family. Master Long, thank you very much. Otherwise, the Long family would definitely have fallen into eternal damnation. Longao naturally knew what Long Bai was talking about. He nodded and said, "This matter ends here. In a few days, I will leave Cloud Island. Remember, if Wang Hao and Yang Jian come looking for trouble, you can only use your wits and not your strength." Longao was only worried about 2 people. One was Wang Hao, and the other was Yang Jian. If he left and Wang Hao and Yang Zhen came, based on their strength and situation, it should not be difficult for them to destroy the 10 Saint Beast Corps slaves. If that was really the case, how would the Long family deal with it? However, Longao knew that he had to do it. The reason was very simple. He was very worried about the safety of the 9 states. Longao had not returned to Tianzhu since the end of the Beast Tide. He knew nothing about the current situation in Tianzhu. Therefore, Longao was a little impatient. Master Long, please don't worry. We will not be reckless. Yes, I will definitely return after I settle the matters of the 9 states. Master, you must come back. Nodding, Longao continued to stay on Cloud Island. He was very much looking forward to Wang Hao and Yang Zhen's return. If that was really the case, then everyone would be happy and everything would be settled in one go. Yang Zhen did not come, but Longao waited for Wang Hao to come. By the sea. Longao, congratulations on destroying the sacred land and killing Yang Feng. Wang Hao, you are really brave. You clearly know that you are not my match, but you still dare to come. Oh right, I almost forgot. Your cultivation has already broken through to the Saint realm. Sensing Wang Hao's aura, Longao was very surprised. This cultivation speed was a little too heaven-defying. Although he knew that Wang Hao was a rebirth realm cultivator and could not think like a normal person, Longao could not help but sigh. No wonder so many divine way cultivators were willing to take such a risk to enter the path of reincarnation. No matter what, the temptation was too great. Longao seemed to be unable to resist. Wang Hao, even if you have broken through to the Saint realm, do you think you can defeat me? Longao was very curious. The news of him killing Yang Feng and scaring Yang Zhen away should have spread. It was impossible that Wang Hao did not know. But why did Wang Hao still come? Was Wang Hao confident that he could defeat Yang Zhen? As if he could see the doubts in Longao's heart, Wang Hao suddenly sneered and said, Longao, I called you here for one thing. If you agree, it will be very beneficial for you. It will not be a problem for you to break through to the Supreme Divine Way in the future. Supreme Divine Way? Longao was very curious. He did not know what Supreme Divine Way Wang Hao was talking about. P.S. Chapter 3. Today is still the 10th chapter. Don't worry, I will definitely finish it. Chapter 593. Wang Hao didn't seem to want to talk about the Supreme Tao. Longao, have you heard of the Deity Island? Wang Hao, cut the crap. Whether it's the Deity Island or the Devil Island, since you've come to find me, then let's settle the grudge between us. Not giving Wang Hao the slightest chance to speak at all, Longao already rushed out with a big stride. Wang Hao was depressed. He wanted to use Lin Fan to his advantage, but Lin Fan didn't give him the chance. Helpless, Wang Hao could only choose to fight. In fact, Wang Hao was still afraid of Lin Fan. He thought that after breaking through to the Saint realm, he could kill Longao. But in the end, Longao was able to kill Yang Feng and scare Yang Zhen away. This showed how strong Longao was. Brick. Wang Hao asked the same question. Longao was able to kill Yang Feng and scare Yang Zhen away because of a brick. A brick? Who would believe that? But Wang Hao was 100% convinced. Furthermore, he was very excited. That was because Wang Hao had already guessed that the brick in Longao's hand was very likely the Primal Chaos Stone Tablet. He really hadn't expected that Longao would obtain the Primal Chaos Stone Tablet and rely on it to smash Yang Feng to death. The more it was like this, the more Wang Hao wanted to get the Primal Chaos Tablet. There was only one way to get the Primal Chaos Tablet, and that was to kill Longao. The two of them fought back and forth. Longao didn't use the Primal Chaos Tablet immediately. In Longao's heart, Wang Hao was far more dangerous than Yang Zhen. Longao was sure that Wang Hao's original body was much stronger than Yang Zhen's. In other words, once Wang Hao and Yang Zhen awakened their divine souls at the same time, Wang Hao's strength would far surpass Yang Zhen's. Heaven and earth sorrow, spatial teleportation, and innate ability. Longao didn't want to continue fighting because he didn't have much time left. So this time, Wang Hao finally came. If he couldn't kill Wang Hao this time, then it wouldn't be easy to kill Wang Hao in the future. It was precisely because of this that Longao's attacks were endless, not giving Wang Hao the slightest chance to catch his breath. This made Wang Hao very depressed, because from the beginning to the end, Wang Hao was very afraid of Longao. Wang Hao didn't know when Longao would suddenly take out the primal Chaos Stone tablet. No matter how it was said, the lesson of the past was there for all to see. Longao had used the Chaos Stone tablet to directly kill Yang Feng and scare away Yang Jian. This in itself was enough to prove the power of the Chaos Stone tablet. Longao closed in step by step while Wang Hao retreated step by step. At this moment, Longao was depressed to the extreme because he had just sensed the Chaos Stone tablet. He wanted to use the Chaos Stone tablet to directly smash Wang Hao to death, cutting the weeds and pulling out the roots, forever eliminating future troubles. But what made Longao feel incomparably depressed was that he couldn't sense the Chaos Stone tablet at all, let alone use the Chaos Stone tablet to fight against the enemy. Longao didn't know what was going on at all. Unable to use the Chaos Stone tablet, Longao was very clear in his heart that it was impossible to kill Wang Hao. It was because of this that Longao slowed down the speed of his attacks. In his mind, he thought of all sorts of methods to deal with the enemy. Gradually, Wang Hao realized that something was wrong and seemed to have guessed something. Suddenly, Wang Hao began to fiercely attack. As the battle continued to escalate, Wang Hao finally confirmed one thing, and that was that Longao couldn't use the Chaos Stone tablet at all. In other words, Longao couldn't completely control the Chaos Stone tablet. Thinking of this, Wang Hao was pleasantly surprised to the extreme. His attacks became more and more intense, each move stronger and faster than the last. Slowly, Longao began to be unable to resist. After all, the difference in cultivation realm couldn't be made up for by other things. Peng! Longao was hit by Wang Hao and his body flew out. His expression changed. Wang Hao didn't give Longao any chance at all. Fist after fist fiercely landed on Longao's body. Fortunately, Longao had the desolate godly body. Otherwise, an ordinary person would have been killed by such attacks. But at this time, Longao didn't resist at all and allowed Wang Hao to attack. If people who knew Longao saw this, they would be very curious because this wasn't like Longao at all. Die! Just when Wang Hao thought that Longao was dead, a terrifying aura suddenly erupted from Longao's body. Then, the Saint Qi in Longao's body began to condense instantly. In just a few seconds, a golden saint pill appeared in Longao's dantian. Saint. Under Wang Hao's continuous attacks, Longao finally broke through the final bottleneck and directly broke through from the peak of the half-step saint to the beginner saint. The breakthrough in cultivation realm caused Longao's strength to soar instantly. There was no need to use the Chaos Stone tablet at all. Longao was no longer afraid of Wang Hao with his own strength. If it was an ordinary warrior, even if their cultivation realm broke through to the saint realm, they would definitely be no match for Wang Hao. But Longao's situation was completely different. His strength was very strong, and with all kinds of trump cards, although Longao had just broken through to the saint realm, he could definitely fight with Wang Hao. Wang Hao also never thought that Longao would be able to break through under such circumstances. Innate divine ability, Dragon's Roar. Even though Wang Hao was prepared, he was still locked in. The surrounding time began to flow backward. Longao used spatial teleportation at this time and instantly came to Wang Hao's side. The wild blood saber in his hand had already slashed out meaninglessly. Longao used all his strength in this slash. If Wang Hao was hit, he would definitely die. But at this time, a cloud of blood mist suddenly erupted from Wang Hao's body as he used the blood escape martial technique. Only the blood mist could be seen. By the time Longao reacted, Wang Hao had already left. Longao, the mountains will not change and the rivers will flow forever. I will be anxious to settle this debt. One day, I will take it back with interest. Trash. Longao did not take Wang Hao seriously because this time, Wang Hao not only used the remnant of his spirit, but also used the blood escape martial technique. This kind of martial technique looked very powerful, but it actually hurt his vitality. With the combination of the two, Wang Hao wanted to recover and comprehend the spirit to break through to the divine path. God knew how long it would take. Of the two dangers, Wang Hao was no longer a concern. There was only one person left, and that was Yang Jian of the Holy Land. Until now, Yang Jian had not shown up. It was harder than ascending to the sky to find one person in the vast sea of people. Longao shrugged helplessly. It seemed that he could only hope that Yang Jian would take the initiative to show up. But Longao knew that unless Yang Jian continued to break through to the so-called Earth Sage or Heaven Sage, it would be very difficult for Yang Jian to show up. There was no other way. Longao really could not wait any longer. He was preparing to officially leave Cloud Island and return to the 9 states in 10 days. At this moment, Longao's mood could be said to be like an arrow. He could not wait to return to the sects and families of the 9 states immediately to see if the master and family were fine. Chapter 594. Cloud Island, Long Family's Main Hall. Family Head Long, I want to ask you something. Have you heard of the mythical island? Mythical island? Long Bai's expression changed when he heard the words mythical island. Family Head Long, how do you know about the mythical island? Long Ao didn't hide anything and told Long Bai everything that had happened between him and Wang Hao. Long Bai heaved a deep sigh of relief after he finished listening. No matter what, Wang Hao's current state was good news for the Long family. Long Bai nodded and said, of course I know about the mythical island. As a member of the Outer Sea, I believe that anyone from the Outer Sea knows about the mythical island. As expected. Long Ao was delighted. It seemed that Wang Hao was telling the truth about the mythical island. The more this was true, the more curious Long Ao became. He wanted to know what the mythical island was. As if he could sense Long Ao's anxiety, Long Bai immediately said, Master Long, the mythical island is known as the #1 power in the Outer Sea. It controls the entire Outer Sea, and its strength is extremely terrifying. According to legend, the mythical island alone has no less than 100 divine practitioners. Cough cough, cough cough. Long Ao almost choked when he heard Long Bai's words. He knew very well what 100 divine practitioners represented. Long Ao knew that the mythical island was definitely not simple if it could become the #1 power in the Outer Sea. Master Long, are you planning to go to the mythical island? Long Ao waved his hand and said, in 10 days, I will leave Cloud Island, but not to the mythical island. I will return to the 9 states. Long Ao wasn't idle. He was just a passerby to the Outer Sea. If it wasn't for Long Heng, he would have left the Outer Sea long ago. Therefore, Long Ao didn't want to cause trouble. The 4 great powers were enough to give him a headache. Long Ao didn't continue. During these 10 days, he taught Long Heng the way of alchemy and the way of cultivation. 10 days later, Long Ao left Cloud Island on a boat under the gaze of Long Heng and the others. He prepared to return to the 9 states. The Outer Sea was boundless. No one knew how big the Outer Sea was. Even a supreme Dao martial artist could not do the same. Long Ao didn't know how big the Outer Seas were, but according to the map that Long Bai had given him, as long as he followed this route, he should be able to return to the 9 provinces in a month's time. 1 month. A month might not be much for a martial artist, but sailing in the open sea for an entire month was a little terrifying. Helplessly shrugging, Long Ao sat quietly on the deck, sensing the Chaos Stone tablet within his body. If he hadn't broken through to the Saint Realm in time, not to mention severely injuring Wang Hao, he might not even have been able to survive. In the Dragon Seal space. Long Ao really couldn't understand, so he could only ask Long Fu. So he went straight to the point and asked, Long Fu, I'm sure you know what happened before. I really want to ask why I couldn't use the Chaos Stone tablet before. Master, this matter is actually very simple. Although the Chaos Stone tablet has acknowledged you, you have not completely fused with it. So if Master wants to use the Chaos Stone tablet, you must first see how it feels. See how the Chaos Stone tablet feels? When he heard Long Fu's words, Long Ao was depressed to the extreme. In other words, if he wanted to use the Chaos Stone tablet to fight, he first had to see if the Chaos Stone tablet was in a good mood. If it was in a good mood, He could use it as he pleased. If it wasn't, sorry, the Chaos Stone tablet wouldn't even acknowledge him. Longao didn't continue to ask because he was probably the only one who would encounter such a pain in the ass. He didn't continue to think about the Chaos Stone tablet because according to Long Fu, as long as he could completely fuse with the Chaos Stone tablet, he could use it whenever he wanted. Looking at the boundless sea, Longao's state of mind had never been so calm. It was like he was a little fish in the sea. Gradually, Longao entered a very strange world. Here, no one ate another, no one schemed against each other. It was like a paradise. In the dragon seal space. Sensing that his master seemed to have entered a state of enlightenment, Long Fu was very excited. He said to himself, "Master has finally entered a state of enlightenment. I believe that this enlightenment will bring about a qualitative change to Master." Longao was calmly looking at the sea for the first time, so he instantly entered a state of enlightenment. Enlightenment, for every martial artist, was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Because every time one entered a state of enlightenment, their cultivation would increase by leaps and bounds. Counting it, ever since Longao started cultivating, including this time, he had only entered a state of enlightenment twice. It was easy to imagine what enlightenment meant to a martial artist. This time's enlightenment lasted for a full 3 days. Suddenly opening his eyes, Longao stood up and stretched. He was both surprised and happy because his realm didn't increase in the slightest. He was still a so-called primary saint. But this time's enlightenment made Longao pleasantly surprised. This time's enlightenment allowed Longao to completely fuse with nature. Unknowingly, his spatial teleportation had increased from 150 meters to 1,500 meters. A 100-fold increase. What kind of concept was that? Not only that, Longao's realm didn't increase, but everything else had increased. For Longao, this could be said to be something that could only be chanced upon and not sought. Boom. Longao, who had just finished his epiphany, did not have the time to be pleasantly surprised and happy. At this time, the sea began to roll unceasingly. Huge waves surged up to the sky. One wave after another came rolling over. The waves were turbulent. Longao was shocked. Of course, he knew that this wasn't a simple natural phenomenon. If there was no accident, there should be a powerful saint beast causing trouble in the sea. His luck was really bad, encountering such a thing. "Grandfather, it's this shameless human that injured me. You must avenge me." Looking at the sudden appearance of the golden tiger shark, Longao instantly understood what had happened. It seemed like the golden tiger shark had found a helper. "Grandfather?" The golden tiger shark was already a rank 1 saint beast. Then, wouldn't the golden tiger shark's grandfather be a rank 2 saint beast? Or a rank 3 saint beast? But in the next second, Longao's face completely changed. Because at this time, a golden tiger shark the size of a small mountain suddenly appeared in front of him. The size didn't matter. Longao could clearly sense that this golden tiger shark wasn't a saint beast, nor was it a great emperor spiritual beast. It was a genuine divine beast. That's right, it was a divine beast. Longao never thought that the golden tiger shark would attract a divine beast to take revenge on him. What kind of joke was this? Even if Longao was confident in his strength, if he had to face a divine beast, it would be best to forget about it. Longao still had a trace of self-awareness. He didn't dare to be careless and immediately abandoned the ship. Chapter 595. Divine Beast's Revenge. Longao immediately used teleportation, and his body appeared 1,000 meters away in the next second. But even so, Longao still didn't dare to be careless because the golden tiger shark was a divine beast in the sea. The strength of a divine beast like the golden tiger shark would multiply in the sea. Longao's speed was very fast. Before the 2 golden tiger sharks could react, he had already disappeared without a trace. "Grandpa, don't worry, I'm not going to set up an inescapable net. I want to see how a little human saint can escape from my hands." Longao used spatial teleportation and successfully left. However, it seemed to be an extremely difficult task to escape the pursuit of a divine beast in the vast ocean. Longao cursed fiercely in his heart. Longao flew in the air at an extremely fast speed. But at this time, the waves from all directions suddenly rolled over and directly formed a cage, trapping him inside. Close the door and beat the dog. Grandpa, leave this person to me. Be careful. With that, the golden tiger shark came in. No matter what Longao did, the golden tiger shark instantly launched an attack. It seemed to have nothing to fear. No matter what, the golden tiger shark found a divine beast to guard it. If it was an ordinary person, they might really be afraid of a divine beast and not dare to touch the golden tiger shark. But Longao was different. Without waiting for the golden tiger shark to attack, he had already rushed out. At this moment, if Longao wanted to violently beat up the golden tiger shark, it would be an extremely simple matter. The gap between a half-saint and a saint was very big. Longao's strength was very strong. Longao used the divine dragon arm fist after fist, like a storm, fiercely landed on the golden tiger shark. In less than a few seconds, the golden tiger shark had already been beaten to a pulp. From the beginning to the end, the golden tiger shark didn't even have the chance to scream. After the golden tiger shark fainted, Longao grabbed the golden tiger shark's tail and threw it out. Teleportation. Seeing that its grandson had fainted, the divine beast golden tiger shark was furious to the extreme. Its gloomy face was extremely terrifying. Human, I will tear you to pieces. Hearing the angry voice behind him, Longao's lips curled up into a cold smile. If people don't offend me, I won't offend them. If people offend me, I'll pay them back double. Because of this, Longao didn't show any mercy at all. The golden tiger shark looked like it had fainted, but in fact, it had already fallen. He believed that the mythological beast had already seen this, otherwise, the mythological beast wouldn't be so furious. Master, this golden tiger shark is at the Nihility god realm. Nonsense. Longao was very clear in his heart that with his strength, no matter which realm the divine beast was in, it was all high and mighty in front of him. It was a super existence that couldn't be contended with. Therefore, there was no difference between Void God Divine Beast and other divine beasts in front of him. Master, I have a way to deal with the golden tiger shark. What is it? Hearing that Long Fu actually had a way to deal with the golden tiger shark, Longao was instantly delighted. However, his speed didn't decrease at all. Master, the ocean is boundless. No one knows how many divine beasts there are in the ocean, and every divine beast has its natural enemy. If Master is able to lure out the natural enemy of the golden tiger shark, then you can sit back and reap the benefits. Longao had an impulse to curse. Although Long Fu's method wasn't bad, at this moment, how could he lure out the golden tiger shark's natural enemy and cut off the connection with Long Fu? Longao was prepared to rely on himself this time. If it was 3 days ago, encountering such a powerful divine beast, Longao knew that he would die for sure. However, the situation now was completely different. The unintentional enlightenment caused the distance of spatial teleportation to expand from 1.5 meters to 1,500 meters. It increased by a whole 100 times. In other words, even if he wasn't a match for the divine beast, at least with speed, he could directly ignore the golden tiger shark. However, Longao obviously underestimated the golden tiger shark's speed. In a blink of an eye, the golden tiger shark's angry voice had already sounded, scaring Longao to continue using spatial teleportation. If it wasn't for spatial teleportation, Longao would have already been caught by the golden tiger shark and chopped into pieces. Therefore, he had to admit that spatial teleportation was indeed very powerful. Even divine beasts couldn't catch up with Longao. It was precisely because of this that Longao was fearless. However, Longao clearly knew that he couldn't use spatial teleportation without limit. Once his soul couldn't maintain it, only death would await him in the end. Therefore, in Longao's mind, he thought of countless ways to deal with the golden tiger shark. After thinking for a while, Longao still couldn't think of a better way. All of a sudden, a dragon's roar sounded and Long Chong's body appeared on the surface of the sea, staring at the golden tiger shark that had already caught up. Dragon Clan? Looking at the black dragon that suddenly appeared in midair, The golden tiger shark instantly understood what had happened. Dragon martial artist. The other party was actually a powerful dragon martial artist. This is a grudge between me and him. I hope the dragon clan won't interfere. The dragon's roar sounded. Although Long Chong couldn't speak, the golden tiger shark, as a divine beast, of course could understand Long Chong's meaning. After listening, the golden tiger shark's face became gloomy. He stared at the human in front of him and suddenly said, "Human, seeing that you are a dragon martial artist, you can't escape death. As long as you hand over your Saint Pill, I will let you go. You should wash up and go home to sleep." Of course, it was impossible for Longao to hand over the Saint Elixir Pill. What a joke. The Saint Elixir Pill was like a second life for a saint. If a saint lost his Saint Elixir Pill, it was equivalent to losing his own strength. This was a very cruel thing for a warrior. As a martial artist, Longao would rather die in battle than hand over his Saint Pill. He didn't even need to think about it and didn't say any nonsense because Longao knew that this battle couldn't be avoided. Since that was the case, why waste his breath? Long Chong had always followed Longao's lead. Longao said that he would fight. Long Chong didn't say anything. One man and one dragon joined forces. Longao stepped on Long Chong's body and faced the golden tiger shark from afar. "Ha ha ha ha, you are simply courting death." Seeing that one man and one dragon were ready to fight, the golden tiger shark looked as if he had seen the most ridiculous thing in the world. His eyes turned cold and a stream of water suddenly shot out from the golden tiger shark's body. It was as fast as a meteor and disappeared in the blink of an eye. Longao and Long Chong didn't dare to be careless. The two of them hurriedly dodged, but even so, the two of them were almost hit by the attack. This was the strength of a divine beast. Chapter 596. A god beast was a super existence comparable to a divine realm martial artist. Before Longao and Long Chong could make a move, 4 golden tiger sharks appeared around them. They were all at the Great Emperor realm. Without a doubt, these 4 golden tiger sharks were the sons of god beasts. Longao was depressed. It seemed that he had provoked a clan this time. After beating up the young, the middle and the old came together. Not daring to be the slightest bit careless, Longao and Long Chong prepared to break out. But at this time, it was unknown what the golden tiger sharks did, but Longao felt dizzy. Not good. Longao instantly sent Long Chong into the dragon seal space. Then, a terrifying strength smashed into Longao's body. Longao was like a kite with its string cut. He fell into the sea and disappeared from sight. The golden tiger sharks didn't dare to give up unless they saw a corpse. Like this, the 5 golden tiger sharks began to search the sea. The sea was calm and tranquil. The outer seas were boundless. According to legends, there were countless islands in the outer seas. No one knew just how many divine realm martial artists were in the outer seas, but some people once said that the overall strength of the outer seas far surpassed that of the 9-province continent. Although the outer seas had never been compared to the 9-province continent, there was no smoke without fire. It was believed that the outer seas wouldn't be too weak. Cloud Island, Long family. The current Long family was no longer the same as before. Ever since Longao destroyed the Holy Lands, Longao had personally appointed the Long family as the overlord of Cloud Island. With Longao's warning, who would dare to provoke the Long family? Not just that, but before Longao left Cloud Island, he had left 10 saint beasts with the Long family. Longao's meaning was simple. Thus, the Long family's position as the overlord of Cloud Island was very stable, even comparable to a holy land. Ever since his master left, Longheng hadn't dared to rest for even a moment. He had been diligently cultivating. With Longheng's talent in addition to his thunder physique, his cultivation speed could be said to be incredibly fast. In just several months, he had officially broken into the World King realm and could even break into the World Sovereign realm at any moment. Long Bai was very impressed with Heng Er's cultivation speed, so he had ordered that no one was to disturb Heng Er's cultivation. The 2nd month after Longao left the Cloud Island, Yang Jian, who had disappeared for 2 months, suddenly appeared in Cloud City. Everyone was so scared that they started to worry about the safety of the Long family. Everyone knew that Longao had barged into the Holy Land alone and killed 4 half-sages and 1 sage. He had already reached a point where one of them had to die. Back then, Longao had scared young Jen away and destroyed the Holy Land, allowing the Long family to replace the Holy Land and dominate the Cloud Island. Young Jen's sudden appearance, as long as one was not a fool, one could guess young Jen's intentions. If it was an ordinary person, the Long family could completely ignore them. However, young Jen was a genuine saint. Even if the Long family had 10 saint beasts, it would not be an easy task to fight against young Jen. There was no doubt that young Jen had attacked the Long family as soon as he appeared. What drove young Jen crazy was that when he arrived at the Long family, he found that the entire place was empty. He did not even see a chicken, let alone a person. Young Jen was not a fool and instantly understood what had happened. Longao. Longao again. Young Jen hated Longao to the core and wanted nothing more than to tear Longao to pieces. However, young Jen was not a reckless person because he knew very well that unless he made another breakthrough in his cultivation, he would not be a match for Longao. Clenching his fists tightly, young Jen scanned his surroundings with cold eyes. He sensed that there was indeed no one around. It seemed that the Long family had already left Cloud City. If the Long family was deliberately hiding from him in the vast outer sea, finding them would be like finding a needle in a haystack. It would be extremely difficult. Young Jen knew that with the current strength of the Holy Land, it would be very difficult for them to make a comeback. It would take them a few years or even decades to do so. Longao cursed in his heart. Young Jen knew that the culprit behind all this was Longao. Therefore, he had to kill Longao. Young Jen, can we have a chat? Young Jen was very curious when he saw Wang Hao suddenly appear. However, he still nodded and said, "If you have something to say, say it. You and I have a common enemy, Longao. To tell you the truth, Longao and I are mortal enemies. If you and I join forces, killing Longao will be a matter of minutes. What do you think?" Wang Hao, why should I join forces with you? Wang Hao and young Jen obviously knew each other's identity. However, they had not exposed each other's identity for so many years in order to awaken their divine souls as soon as possible. On a small cloud island, there were actually 2 reincarnation realm warriors hiding. It was easy to imagine how terrifying the outer sea was. Young Jen thought for a moment and said, "What are your conditions?" Young Jen had lived 2 lives. Of course, he knew that Wang Hao would not be so nice as to join forces with him. As a reincarnation realm warrior, as long as Wang Hao awakened his divine soul, dealing with Longao would be a simple matter. Straightforward. I like your character. Brother Yang, my conditions are very simple. Kill Longao and I only want the brick in his hand. How about it? Besides Longao, only Wang Hao knew what the brick represented. It was the primal chaos stone tablet. Wang Hao wished he could immediately obtain the primal chaos stone tablet. That way, not only could he awaken his divine soul, he could even use the primal chaos stone tablet to reach an unsurpassed realm and step onto the peak of martial arts. Brick. Young Jen did not know what Longao's brick was, but the brick's power was there for all to see. Now that Wang Hao wanted it so badly, young Jen could guess what was going on. Brother Wang, since you have chosen to join forces with me, then we should be honest with each other. Tell me, what is the origin of the brick in Longao's hand? Although young Jen and Wang Hao were both reincarnation realm warriors, Wang Hao's peak strength in his previous life far surpassed young Jen's peak strength in his previous life. Young Jen did not know this, but Wang Hao knew it clearly. It was because of this that Wang Hao said, "Brother Yang, I don't know if you have heard of the 12 primal chaos stone tablets that exist between the heavens and earth. Could it be that the brick in Longao's hand is one of the 12 primal chaos stone tablets?" Young Jen was shocked to the extreme. He certainly knew what the 12 primal chaos stone tablets represented. It was also because of this that young Jen found it hard to imagine that the brick in Longao's hand was one of the legendary primal chaos stone tablets. No wonder it had such power. In an instant, young Jen's heart was filled with greed. That's right, The brick in Longao's hand is a primal chaos stone tablet. Since Brother Yang has heard of the legends of the primal chaos stone tablets, then everything will be easy. You and I can join forces to kill Longao and obtain the primal chaos stone tablets to comprehend together. What does Brother Yang think? No problem, but Longao's whereabouts are unknown right now. How do we find him? P.S. Brothers, Little 9 asks you to cast your recommendation votes and monthly votes. Longao's ranking is a bit too low, so I beg of you. Chapter 597. Longao had left Cloud Island and everyone knew that. Longao's identity was not a secret. Wang Hao and Yang Jian knew that if they wanted to find Longao, they had to leave the outer sea and head to 9 states. Although both of them were supreme Dao martial artists, they were reincarnated bodies after all. If they were to head to 9 states rashly, it would be counterproductive. Both of them nodded and Wang Hao said, even if we join forces, we might not be a match for Longao. Why don't we awaken our divine souls first and look for him after we break through to the Great Emperor realm? It's a deal. It's hard to go back on my word. Yang Jian did not destroy Long family. No matter what, Long family was no longer around. If he did not even let go of the house, wouldn't he be laughed at? The news that everyone in Long family had disappeared and Long Jian had made a wasted trip had spread throughout Cloud City. It was only now that everyone knew that Long family had prepared for this. Before Long Jian could head over, they had already disappeared without a trace. Until now, there was no overlord on Cloud Island and only Yi family was the overlord. If it was in the past, Yi family would definitely rule Cloud Island and live happily. But now, even if the sacred ground was destroyed and Long family was nowhere to be found, Yi family would not dare to rule Cloud Island casually. Yi family was not stupid. Long family was only afraid that Yang Jian would take revenge and left temporarily. If Yi family ruled Cloud Island and Long family returned to Cloud Island, how would Yi family face them? With Long family's current status, the 10 sacred beasts were enough to destroy Yi family easily. Therefore, even if the sacred ground was destroyed and Long family disappeared, no one dared to rule Cloud Island. Outer Sea. Tsunamis swept across countless islands. All the sects and families did not dare to step into the outer sea because every time the tsunamis swept across the outer sea, no matter who it was, even supreme Dao martial artists, they would be instantly killed by the tsunamis. On the surface of the sea, Longao was lying quietly. With a groan, Longao suddenly opened his eyes. With just a glance, he heaved a sigh of relief. He was blessed with great fortune. Longao was very clear in his heart that he was able to escape the pursuit of the golden tiger shark. Firstly, he possessed the desolate divine body. Secondly, it was all thanks to the tsunami. Otherwise, he would have definitely been found by the golden tiger shark. Divine beasts were powerful enough to destroy the world. Even if they were in the outer sea, it wouldn't be difficult for them to find him. But at this time, a tsunami suddenly swept across the entire sea. Even a divine beast would not dare to fight against a tsunami. Unknowingly, the tsunami had saved his life. Looking at the terrifying tornadoes and tsunamis around him, Longao's expression instantly turned grave. Even the supreme Dao martial artists were afraid of the tsunami. How could he possibly resist it? Long Fu, can you help me hide in the sea? Although Longao was a powerful saint, it was impossible for him to hide in the sea for a long time. No matter what, no one knew how long the tsunami would last. If it lasted for 10 days or a few months, then he would be considered very unlucky. If he didn't die in the hands of the golden tiger shark but died in the tsunami, he would suffer a great loss. Master, please wait a moment. Long Fu seemed to know the urgency of the matter and did not dare to be negligent. He took out a small blue ball the size of an eye and handed it to Longao. He said, Master, this is the water-repelling pearl left behind by the old master. It is extremely precious. As long as Master brings him into the sea, no matter how long it takes, nothing will happen. Receiving the water-repelling pearl from Long Fu, Longao was very depressed. Such a good thing, he didn't take it out before, causing him to almost be killed. Longao did not dare to hesitate. Who knew if the tsunami would sweep over? If he was unlucky and was swept by the tsunami, where would he go to reason? Longao knew that luck would not always favor you. Taking the water-repelling pearl, Longao went straight into the sea. In his life, this was the first time Longao had come to the outer sea. It was also the first time he went into the sea. Everything in the sea was so unfamiliar. However, Longao was still cautious and vigilant at all times. According to the legends, there were many divine beasts in the outer sea. If he was unlucky and casually encountered a divine beast, he would truly be like a sheep entering a tiger's den and would not be able to escape. He had to admit that the sea was indeed very beautiful. There were all kinds of colors, all kinds of spirit beasts, all kinds of living creatures. This was nature. This time, Longao's luck was not so good. He did not continue to have an epiphany. But even so, Longao was still very satisfied. For a martial artist, an epiphany was something that could only be chanced upon and not sought. Some martial artists would never have an epiphany in their entire life. Longao brought the water-repelling pearl with him. It was like a small space was separated from the surroundings. The water was unable to enter this small space. The water-repelling pearl was truly miraculous. No wonder Long Tien had kept it. Water dragon? Suddenly, Longao's body stopped. His eyes were as wide as an ox's. He had an expression of disbelief as he looked at a small mountain-sized dragon not far away. The entire dragon was no different from other dragons. The only difference was that the dragon's entire body was blue. It was sleeping soundly. If not for the sound of the water dragon snoring, Longao believed that it would be very difficult for him to discover the existence of the water dragon. The water dragon was one of the most powerful dragons in the dragon clan. Especially in the outer sea, the water dragon could almost be compared to a 5-clawed golden dragon. But on land, the strength of the water dragon would plummet. Not to mention a 5-clawed golden dragon, it would not even be able to defeat an ordinary dragon. Longao had never thought that he would encounter such a powerful divine beast in less than an hour after entering the sea. It seemed like the outer sea was really full of hidden dragons and crouching tigers. Even divine beasts could be seen everywhere. Longao only watched quietly. He did not dare to disturb, because the strength of the divine beast water dragon was too terrifying. Even 10 golden tiger sharks were not a match for one divine beast water dragon. Longao did not continue forward because he did not know when the tsunami would disappear. He had been seriously injured by the golden tiger sharks before, so he could take advantage of this opportunity to recuperate. If he went to other places, he might encounter other sacred beasts or divine beasts at any time. He might even encounter a golden tiger shark. The gains would not make up for the losses. The divine beast water dragon, he believed that it was the most powerful divine beast in the outer sea. As long as he hid beside the water dragon and cultivated, even if the golden tiger sharks came, they would not dare to act blindly without thinking. With a mischievous smile, Longao immediately sat on the ground and began to cultivate. The tsunami was still there and the sea was turbulent. But the 5 golden tiger sharks were frantically searching for the corpse of their enemy. But there were some places that the 5 golden tiger sharks did not dare to approach, such as the divine beast water dragon. They're here. Looking at the 5 golden tiger sharks slowly approaching from a distance, Longao's heart suddenly thumped. Chapter 598. Longao didn't dare to be careless. Although he had the water dragon by his side, he didn't know the relationship between the golden tiger shark and the water dragon. Golden tiger shark, why did you barge into my forbidden area? As a divine beast, the golden tiger shark's aura was there. With Longao's concealment and Long Fu's help, even the water dragon couldn't detect Longao's presence. Senior water dragon, it's like this. Although they were both divine beasts, the golden tiger shark and the water dragon weren't on the same level. After listening, the water dragon didn't seem to be interested in the golden tiger shark. It snorted and didn't say anything, but its meaning was clear. Cursing in his heart, the golden tiger shark was afraid of this kind of situation. The outer sea was too big and boundless. There were many divine beasts in the outer sea, and divine beasts stronger than him could be found everywhere. Because of this, there were many places that the golden tiger shark couldn't enter. Left with no choice, the golden tiger shark retreated respectfully because he didn't want to provoke the water dragon. Looking at the 5 golden tiger sharks gradually leaving, Longao finally breathed a sigh of relief. Human, I'm very puzzled. How did you escape the pursuit of the golden tiger shark? Longao, who was preparing to continue cultivating, shuddered when he heard the water dragon's words. He stared at the water dragon not far away. He was sure that the water dragon was talking to him. There was no other way. Since he was already discovered, Longao knew that he could only face it calmly. Longao did not hide anything when he arrived in front of the divine beast water dragon. He recounted everything that had happened in detail. After listening, the water dragon nodded and said, "You're a dragon warrior?" "That's right." Longao didn't hide anything from the water dragon, because if the water dragon sensed him, he would be in big trouble. The reason why Longao was like this was because he was confident that the divine beast water dragon would definitely not deal with him. Firstly, he was a dragon warrior, and Long Chong himself was also a member of the dragon clan. He believed that the divine beast water dragon would not harm his own clan members. Secondly, from the beginning to the end, the water dragon did not have the slightest murderous intent towards Longao. That was why Longao was fearless. Otherwise, he would have gotten up and run away. "The golden tiger shark's head is not small. I am unable to help you kill it, please forgive me." The divine beast water dragon was so polite, causing Longao to feel a little embarrassed. He chuckled and said, "In the future, I will use my own strength to deal with him. Senior water dragon, I would like to borrow your place to cultivate." "No problem. When you've recovered, I have something to ask of you." Nodding his head, Longao did not hesitate. He immediately sat down cross-legged and began to quietly cultivate. He was really lucky to have met this divine beast water dragon. Not only was it kind, it was also very easy to talk to. Otherwise, it would have been very difficult for him to leave this outer sea. Longao's injuries were very serious. If he were to rely on himself to recover, he would need at least a month's time. However, the water dragon was obviously helping him. It directly shortened the time by 10 times. In just 3 days, Longao's injuries would be completely healed. Standing up and suppressing the joy in his heart, Longao said gratefully, "Senior, thank you for your help. Since you've recovered, then come with me. I'll bring you to a place." Nodding his head, Longao did not ask any more questions. Although there were countless divine beasts in the outer sea, the water dragon was one of the best. If he were to follow the water dragon, his safety would at least be guaranteed. Very far away. As a divine beast, the golden tiger shark's eyesight was quite powerful. Because of this, the golden tiger shark's face turned gloomy when he saw Longao following the water dragon. However, there was nothing he could do. The divine beast water dragon was not an existence he could fight against. However, the golden tiger shark was not worried at all. He did not believe that Longao could hide in the sea forever. As long as he left the water dragon, or left the seabed, he would have a chance to take action. "Father, are we just going to watch like this? This human is under the protection of the water dragon. We can't do anything. Father, we can ask the old ancestor." Even the water dragon would be wary of the old ancestor. No, the old ancestor has reached a critical moment. No one is allowed to disturb the old ancestor. How could the golden tiger shark not know that the reason why the water dragon did not take action against the 5 of them was because it was afraid of the old ancestor's face? Otherwise, they would have all fallen by now. When the old ancestor was in seclusion, he had already instructed them to endure no matter what happened and wait for him to come out of seclusion. The golden tiger shark's eyes were deep and serene as he stared at the human and dragon in the distance. The golden tiger shark suddenly said, "When the old ancestor comes out of seclusion, it will be the day to kill you." Longao shuddered. He did not know if it was because he sensed something, but he suddenly turned around and looked at the seabed in the distance. He could not see anything, but he could clearly sense that there was a murderous aura in the distance. It was obviously aimed at him. The water dragon seemed to be a little surprised because he did not expect that Longao would suddenly sense it. Since the matter had already reached this point, the water dragon did not continue to hide and said, "The golden tiger shark already knows of your existence. You will be fine if you follow me, but once you leave me or return to the sea, the golden tiger shark will take action." Without waiting for Longao to speak, the water dragon continued, "The golden tiger shark has an old ancestor whose strength is above mine." The water dragon did not continue, but the meaning in his words was very clear. Longao also did not expect that the golden tiger shark would have an old ancestor. Since the golden tiger shark was a divine beast, could it be that the old ancestor was an earth god or sky god? Longao was very clear in his heart that no matter how strong the old ancestor of the golden tiger shark was, he was not his opponent. It seemed like this matter was troublesome. "Let's talk about this matter later. When the time comes, I will bring you away from the outer sea." Longao was not as happy as he imagined, because he did not know why, but he always had a bad premonition. All along, Longao did not want to believe that a meat pie would fall from the sky. Why was the water dragon so good to him? Longao was not narcissistic enough to think that the divine dragon would really help him. There must be some reason behind it, it was just that he did not know about it. However, since the matter had already reached this point, he could only take one step at a time. Who told him to be so weak that he was practically helpless against a divine beast? After walking for an unknown amount of time, the man and the dragon arrived in front of a crystal palace. The entire crystal palace was sparkling and translucent, clearly formed naturally. It was very beautiful. Longao could sense an extremely terrifying power from the crystal palace, it even surpassed the divine dragon's aura. P.S. I accidentally fell asleep last night. Today's chapter 12. Today's chapter 12 will be faster. Try not to drag it out until the night. Little 9 will update at night. It's more tiring than you think. There's no other way, people with families can't afford to be injured. Chapter 599. Senior Water Dragon, what is this place? Looking at the huge crystal palace in front of him, Longao did not know why the divine water dragon had brought him here. "Someone wants to see you. Someone wants to see me. Who is it?" However, the outer sea was a completely foreign place to him. This was the first time he had come to the outer sea since he was young. In that case, who wants to see me? Longao was not a fool. Of course, he could guess that this person was not simple at all. A person who could control the divine water dragon must be an extraordinary existence. In that case, why does this person want to see me? There was one thing that Longao did not understand. He had only been in the sea for a few days and the divine water dragon had not left during that time. If that was the case, how did this person know about him? Longao felt that something was wrong. As for what was wrong, he could not tell at the moment. However, Longao was alert and vigilant at all times. You don't have to be nervous. If the senior wants to deal with you, he doesn't have to do it himself. I believe that there will be countless divine beasts willing to be his pawns. He swallowed his saliva hard. Longao was not a fool. Of course, he could understand what the divine water dragon meant. The more this was so, the more Longao was afraid. Because the most mysterious thing was often the most terrifying existence. Go in by yourself. Longao nodded. Since he was here, he did not shrink back. As the saying goes, counter soldiers with arms and water with an earth weir. Things had come to this point. If he did not enter the Crystal Palace, not to mention the owner of the Crystal Palace, the divine water dragon alone would not let him go. Stepping into the Crystal Palace, Longao shuddered. He became more and more afraid because he found that the aura of the Crystal Palace was too strong. Even the aura of the divine water dragon could not be compared to the Crystal Palace. He came to the front hall of the Crystal Palace. Longao bowed respectfully and said to the entire Crystal Palace, "I don't know which senior wants to see this junior. I'm already here. Senior, please come out and meet me. You're here. Have a seat." An old man suddenly appeared at the front of the hall. He looked very ordinary. If this old man was placed in a crowd, he would not even cause a ripple. However, Longao did not underestimate the old man at all, because he knew that the senior who suddenly appeared in front of him was 100% a supreme Tao warrior, and his strength was far beyond the divine beast water dragon. As for whether he was comparable to the five-clawed golden dragon or even the primordial divine dragon, it was unknown. As for the heavenly Tao, Longao did not even think about it. One had to know that the heavenly Tao was one of the most powerful existences in the world. Unless someone found the origin energy and successfully fused with it, only then would they have any hope of contending against the heavenly Tao. Otherwise, they could only cough. However, Longao was even more aware that all the core lands of the martial heaven continent were protected by the heavenly Tao's avatars. Furthermore, the heavenly Taos were in charge of the headquarters. Through the transportation channels, they could appear in any of the core lands at any time. This time, he was able to smoothly avoid this calamity entirely by relying on spatial teleportation. Otherwise, who could resist the heavenly Tao? I am the God Diviner. Are you Longao? The God Diviner. Longao didn't even have time to ask why the God Diviner was looking for him. Longao's expression suddenly changed. He had never imagined that the God Diviner would know his name. If it was someone who knew him and knew his name, then it would be fine. But Longao was 100% sure that he didn't know the divine mathematician in front of him. In that case, how did the divine mathematician know his name? Before Longao could ask, the God Diviner said, "Longao, you don't need to be so surprised. The reason I know your name is because I divined it myself." Divined it? This matter was becoming more and more complicated. Longao felt that something was wrong. The God Diviner was too mysterious. He didn't know where he came from, but it seemed like he knew him very well. "Senior God Diviner, I would like to ask how you divined my name." The God Diviner smiled. "I've been a fortune teller my entire life. If I hadn't divined the fate of the heavenly Taos back then, the heavenly Taos wouldn't have been able to find their core land and successfully merge with it. They would have reached the peak of the martial path and looked down on the martial heaven continent." Hearing this, Longao looked very indifferent on the surface, but his heart was already like the waves of the ocean, turning the world upside down. The shock in his heart could not be described with words. The heavenly Taos. Longao had never imagined that the God Diviner would have divined the fate of the heavenly Taos. According to the God Diviner, the reason the heavenly Taos had been able to become the heavenly Taos was all thanks to him. If that was the case, then the God Diviner was too amazing. Swallowing hard, Longao said, "Senior God Diviner, it seems you already know about my enmity with the heavenly Taos. Then what do you want to do? Let's get straight to the point." The God Diviner nodded with praise. "Longao, I know that the primordial divine dragon and Long Tien have already perished. As for you, being chosen by the dragon seal can count as your opportunity." Longao didn't say anything. He just sat there. The enmity between Long Tien and the heavenly Taos originally shouldn't involve you. However, since this is your opportunity, you have to face it. "Senior God Diviner, could it be that you aren't a friend of the heavenly Taos?" Longao had already guessed that the God Diviner had nothing to do with the heaven Tao. Only at this moment did Longao let out a long sigh of relief. After all, with the God Diviner's strength, killing him would be as easy as flipping a hand. Even if the God Diviner didn't do anything and summoned the heavenly Taos, he would still be dead. "I have nothing to do with the heavenly Taos. Back then, the heavenly Taos were kind to me. I was just helping them. As for whether or not they can become the heavenly Taos, that will depend on fate." So that's how it was. There was one thing that Longao couldn't figure out. If the God Diviner could help the heavenly Taos reach the peak of the martial path, then why didn't the heavenly Taos do it himself? "Senior God Diviner, could it be that the heavenly Taos are the only ones to reach the peak of the martial path?" "2. And you're the other one?" In truth, Longao had already guessed that if the God Diviner could help the heavenly Taos, then he must have also reached the peak of the martial path. Seeing the God Diviner nod, Longao was certain. It seemed that other than the heavenly Taos, there really were other experts at the peak of the martial path. Longao was no fool. If the God Diviner had already reached the peak of the martial path, then the heavenly Taos would definitely be wary of him. If that was the case, then there was no doubt that the God Diviner's strength was above the heavenly Taos. Otherwise, the heavenly Taos wouldn't allow someone on the same level as them to exist. P.S. The second chapter will be updated in the afternoon. I'm a bit busy this morning. Chapter 600. The Peak of the Martial Path. Longao yearned to reach the peak of the martial path. Not to mention Longao, it was believed that the peak of martial arts was a realm that every martial artist yearned to reach even in their dreams. Longao, I have divined everything under the heavens, no one can't be divined. Even if it's heaven's fate, I can still divine it clearly. However, there is only one person in this world that I cannot divine. Is it the heavenly Tao? Shaking his head, Master Godly Diviner said helplessly, "It's you. It's me." Longao was shocked. He was well aware of Master Godly Diviner's strength. He was an existence that surpassed the heavenly Tao, divining everything under the heavens, even the fate of the heavens. What kind of concept was that? Longao didn't ask, nor did he speak. He knew that Master Godly Diviner had called him here because he had something to say. Longao, this old man can count everyone as me, but only you. Do you know why this is? I don't know. Please tell me. From the moment you rose to prominence in Tianju, I suddenly felt a strange phenomenon. It was also at that moment that the Dragon Seal chose you as its master. So I began to pay attention to you. I tried 3 times to divine your fate, but in the end I was powerless. Longao really didn't know what Master Godly Diviner was talking about. What about fate? From beginning to end, Longao didn't believe in such things. He said, "My fate is in my own hands. No one can control my fate." Good. Master Godly Diviner's face was full of praise. My fate is up to me, not the heavens. But in this world, how many people can escape the arrangement of fate? Even the heavens and I are the same. Since you have already obtained the power of the origin, then with your talent, you will be able to step into the peak of martial arts in 100 years. 100 years was a very long time, even for a martial artist. However, Longao wasn't afraid. He had a lover, family, brothers, and many challenges. Longao, I can't see your fate, but there is one thing I must remind you. Fate has already been decided and cannot be forced. Otherwise, the consequences will be unimaginable. Longao didn't say much. It was still the same sentence. My life is in my own hands, not in the hands of the heavens. Senior God Diviner, why have you called me here? Longao was no fool, and he knew that Master God Diviner had come looking for him for no reason at all. Longao, the reason why I'm looking for you is very simple. Back then, I single-handedly helped the Heavenly Tao, but I was seriously injured for some reason, and the Heavenly Tao still doesn't know about it. Longao was well aware of this. Although the Heavenly Tao had been created by Master God Diviner, he was still the only threat to the Heavenly Tao. As the saying goes, every man for himself, and the devil takes the hindmost. The Heavenly Tao naturally wanted to eradicate Master God Diviner and dominate the continent. Longao could also imagine that if the Heavenly Tao knew that the God Diviner had been severely injured, it would definitely try to destroy the Heavenly Tao. That would be the end of all future troubles. Master God Diviner was simply too terrifying. Not only was he strong enough to fight back against the Tao of Heaven, he was also skilled in the Tao of Divine Augury. It was like whether or not Master God Diviner was injured had nothing to do with him. Seeing Longao's doubts, Master God Diviner said, "Longao, with my current strength, I can't fight against the Heavenly Tao. If the Heavenly Tao does something that oversteps its bounds, I won't be able to do anything. Furthermore, the martial heaven continent cannot be ruled by one person. Otherwise, as long as the Heavenly Tao wants it, it can destroy the continent at any time. Senior God Diviner, I just said that if you have something to say, just say it. If I can agree to it, I won't refuse. But if I can't, then no matter what, I won't agree." Seeing Master God Diviner's hesitant expression, Longao felt a headache. No matter what it was, Master God Diviner should have just said it. Nodding, Master God Diviner suddenly said, I'm preparing to teach you the Tao of Divine Augury. Hearing Master God Diviner's words, Longao was startled. He had guessed countless possibilities, but the biggest one was that Master God Diviner wanted him to destroy the heavenly Taos. He hadn't expected Master God Diviner to talk about this matter. Even so, Longao wasn't the slightest bit careless. He knew that there was no free lunch in this world. Master God Diviner wouldn't teach him the Tao of Divine Augury for no reason. Even if someone else told him the details, he wouldn't believe it. Master God Diviner had other plans. Longao, I can teach you the Tao of Divine Augury, but I can't help you reach the peak of the martial path. As for whether or not you can reach that point in the future, that will depend on your luck. Longao didn't say anything. He just listened. If you can reach the peak of the martial path, I hope that you can suppress the heavenly Taos. I've already divined that the heavenly Tao will destroy the martial heaven continent in the future. As for whether or not it can be destroyed, that will depend on you. Me? Correct. I've already divined that the continent has a chance to survive. As for who will be the savior of the continent, I can't tell. However, I can only choose one person. So I chose you. So that's how it was. First it was the primordial divine dragon and Long Tien. Now it was Master God Diviner. It seemed he would have to fight the heavenly Taos. If it was an ordinary person, Longao might have some confidence. However, this was the heavenly Taos, the continent's #1 expert. If he relaxed even slightly, the heavenly Taos would send him back home. Sighing deeply, Longao knew he had no other choice. He could only agree. Then he curiously asked, Senior God Diviner, the Tao of Divine Augury you spoke of, can it be divined for anything? No. There are 3 things you can't divine. First, you can't divine fate. Second, you can't divine yourself. Third, you can't divine fate. You are a person of fate. In order to know your fate, I forcibly divined your fate. That's why I'm injured. So that's how it was. He was truly speechless that he couldn't do it. However, Longao was very much looking forward to the Tao of Divine Augury. He knew that once he cultivated it, he would at least be able to divine when his family was in danger in the future. Longao, cultivating the Tao of Divine Augury will also be beneficial to your cultivation. Now, you should quietly comprehend it. Before Longao could react, a terrifying power appeared in his mind. Not daring to be careless, Longao immediately began to comprehend it. He knew that he only had one chance. He had to seize this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. After a full 6 hours, Master God Diviner let out a sigh of relief. He weakly said, I have imparted the essence of the Tao of Divine Augury to you. As for whether you can comprehend it and reach the end, that will depend on your luck. Many thanks to Senior God Diviner. You and I are fated. I will teach you the method to open the primal chaos stone tablet. I hope you can comprehend the martial skills within. Chapter 601. The Primal Chaos Stone Tablets. Longao didn't feel the slightest bit of surprise. Master God Diviner was said to be able to calculate everything in the world. Then the matter of him obtaining the Primal Chaos Stone Tablets couldn't be hidden from him. Senior Master God Diviner, I really want to ask, just what do the 12 Primal Chaos Stone Tablets represent? Longao had always been curious about the Primal Chaos Stone Tablets. He didn't know just what they were. Longao, it is said that there are 12 Primal Chaos Stone Tablets in the world. Anyone who obtains them can become the strongest existence in the world. Even the heavenly Taos haven't obtained a single Primal Chaos Stone Tablet. According to my guess, the 12 Primal Chaos Stone Tablets don't belong to the martial heaven continent. They come from the primal chaos space, the place where the core energy is. So that's how it was. Each of the 12 Primal Chaos Stone Tablets contains a supreme cultivation technique and martial skill. Longao, I still don't know that the Primal Chaos Stone Tablet you possess contains martial skills and cultivation techniques. Longao was also looking forward to the martial skills and cultivation techniques within the Primal Chaos Stone Tablets. Now that Longao had the 9 revolution samsara art, he didn't care about cultivation techniques. The only thing he wanted were martial skills. If even Master God Diviner said so, then the martial skills within the primal chaos stone tablets had to be extremely powerful. However, Longao's only headache was that no matter how hard he tried, he was unable to comprehend the martial skills within the primal chaos stone tablets. Senior Master God Diviner, how should I comprehend the primal chaos stone tablets? Just now, I sensed that since the primal chaos stone tablets have already recognized you as their master, then it should only be a matter of time before you comprehend the martial skills within. When had the primal chaos stone tablets recognized him as their master? Longao, I can't help you comprehend the primal chaos stone tablets, but I can remind you of one thing. If you want to comprehend the martial skills as quickly as possible, you have to comprehend the natural world. That will be of great help to you in comprehending the primal chaos stone tablets. Nodding, Longao made a mental note of this. Before Longao could ask any more questions, Master God Diviner waved his hand. I'm going into secluded meditation to recuperate, he said weakly. I won't be coming out for a while. I hope you can focus on the Tao of divination. Go. Seeing that Master God Diviner didn't want to talk about it, Longao didn't ask any questions. Turning, he left. In the empty crystal palace, Master God Diviner sighed helplessly. I shouldn't have become a Tao of heaven, and now I shouldn't have become a Longao. Was I right or was I wrong? Longao really didn't understand Master God Diviner, and couldn't help but wonder why he had chosen him of all people. After leaving the Crystal Palace, Longao looked around and realized that the divine beast water dragon had already disappeared. As for the 5 golden tiger sharks, they were nowhere to be seen. Even so, Longao didn't dare to be careless. He carefully flew in another direction. Longao knew that he had benefited greatly from this trip to the bottom of the sea. First of all, he now knew that in addition to the Tao of Heaven, there was another person who stood at the peak of the martial path. Master God Diviner, an existence above the Tao of Heaven. That was because the Tao of Heaven had been created by Master God Diviner. In addition, he had also acquired the Tao of Divination. Although Longao didn't know much about the Tao of Divination, he knew that it was definitely heaven-defying. Otherwise, Master God Diviner wouldn't have been able to reach the peak of the martial path. Hand over your life, boy. Longao was startled to hear the roar. Of course, he was prepared for it, and immediately used teleportation. After 10 teleportations, Longao began to flee. Longao had the water avoidance pearl on him, so he was almost the same on land as he was in the sea. And with teleportation, Longao could move with incredible speed. About an hour later, Longao successfully returned. He didn't leave the sea, but returned to the domain of the water dragon. Longao was very clear in his heart that even if the 5 golden tiger sharks were so powerful, they would not dare to attack the divine beast water dragon. After all, the difference in strength between the divine beasts was also very big. The divine beast water dragon could fight against 5 golden tiger sharks by itself. Looking at the human entering the water dragon's domain, how could the golden tiger sharks not know the other party's intention? Their faces were gloomy to the extreme. Could it be that they had completely broken off their relationship with the water dragon? Get out of my forbidden area, or I'll kill you without mercy. The divine beast water dragon's terrifying divine beast aura instantly suppressed them. Even the divine beast golden tiger shark couldn't resist it. He didn't dare to say a word because he knew that if the divine beast water dragon killed the 5 of them at this time, even the old ancestor wouldn't be able to do anything. With no other choice, the 5 golden tiger sharks turned around and left. The water dragon was too powerful. Even if the 5 golden tiger sharks joined forces, they still wouldn't be a match for the water dragon. Seeing the 5 golden tiger sharks leave, Longao let out a long sigh of relief. He looked at the water dragon in front of him and said, "Senior water dragon, thank you for saving me. Boy, have you met Sir Divine Mathematician?" "Sir." Longao sighed in his heart. Even the water dragon had to call the Divine Mathematician Sir. One could imagine how terrifying the Divine Mathematician's strength was. "I have met him. The water dragon didn't ask any more questions. It nodded faintly and said, "Sir Divine Mathematician said that you came from the 9 continents and asked me to send you back later. Are you going to leave now or will you leave later?" Longao was delighted. He couldn't wait to leave and return to the 9 continents. Because of this, Longao immediately said, "Senior Water Dragon, I hope you can send me back now." "Okay." Clean and direct. He never spoke sloppily. At this time, Longao was enveloped by a terrifying aura. Before Longao could react, his entire body disappeared. Teleportation channel. Longao never thought that there would be a teleportation channel in the ocean. He thought that the water dragon would personally escort him back to the 9 continents. But now, it was even better. At least he could return in the shortest time possible. Longao was very worried about the safety of the 9 continents, especially his family and sect. So, he couldn't wait to return. In the next second, Longao appeared in Tianju. He wasn't surprised at all. The divine mathematician could calculate everything in the world. He came from Tianju and believed that the divine mathematician could calculate everything. So, the divine dragon directly sent him back to Tianju. It wasn't until the moment he landed that Longao let out a sigh of relief. It had been 3 months since he was attacked by the beast tide and entered the outer sea for no reason. Longao knew very well that a lot could happen in 3 months. Moreover, the beast tide had invaded the 9 continents. He didn't know how the 9 continents were now. P.S. There are too many things to do today. I'll update 2 more chapters later. The 6 chapters 10, plus the 5 chapters I'll restore tomorrow. There will be a total of 11 chapters tomorrow. Everyone has things to do. Plus, little 9 already has a family. Chapter 602. 9 States. As soon as Longao returned to Tianju, he immediately flew towards the Long family. Actually, on the way back, Longao already knew that 9 states was fine. If there were no accidents, the 4 major forces would have closed the transmission channel in time when the beast horde invaded 9 states. Otherwise, the consequences would have been unimaginable. The news of Longao's return to the Long family instantly spread throughout the Longao Peak. Everyone cheered because the 4 major forces had released the news that Longao had died in the forbidden area of the beast horde. For 3 whole months, there was no news of Longao. Everyone was incomparably worried, but many people did not believe that Longao was dead. Indeed, Longao still came back in the end. As soon as Longao returned to the Long family, he did not even have time to talk to his family when he sensed that someone was calling him. And this person was none other than the old ancestor, Long Batian. In the cave. "Old ancestor, you're looking for me?" Nodding, Long Batian smiled and said, "This time you went to the forbidden area of the beast horde, what did you gain?" Longao did not want to hide anything from the old ancestor. He told him in detail about the outer sea. As for the oracle, he did not mention a word. "Heavenly Tao? You've seen the Heavenly Tao?" "No." Then, Longao told him about the Heavenly Tao. As for the origin energy, he did not say anything. No matter what, it was useless for the old ancestor to know this. No matter what, if you encounter the Heavenly Tao in the future, remember, do not fight it head-on, understand? The old ancestor's words made Longao's heart skip a beat. If he was not wrong, the old ancestor knew about the existence of the Heavenly Tao. But after thinking about it, the old ancestor was a heavenly god martial artist, not to mention a rebirth martial artist. It would be strange if he did not know about the Heavenly Tao. You know? Longao naturally knew what the ancestor was asking and nodded. "Ancestor, I want to ask, how many times have you reincarnated?" Long Fu had already told Longao that Long Batian was a rebirth realm martial artist. However, Longao was very curious as to how many rebirth realms his ancestor was a martial artist. After all, the more rebirth realms one had, the stronger one was. It could be said that for a Nihility God realm martial artist, the concept of reincarnation once and reincarnation 9 times was completely different. If he could reincarnate 9 times, he might even break through to the heavenly God realm. Longao did not know in his heart whether the old ancestor's previous life was an ordinary divine Dao martial artist or a celestial deity martial artist. Long Batian didn't seem to want to continue hiding. 6 times. My grass. Longao cursed in his heart. Of course, he knew what it meant to be reincarnated 6 times. Long Batian was a 9 rebirth realm martial artist and the old ancestor was a 6 rebirth realm martial artist. No matter who it was not something an ordinary person could achieve. I know what you want to ask, but I can only tell you that even if I have reached the 6 rebirth realms, I am still not invincible. Because in this world, there are too many people who are stronger than me. Therefore, I will continue to reincarnate later. With a deep sigh, Longao knew that if the old ancestor continued to reincarnate, it would be a whole 7 rebirth realms. It seemed like the old ancestor was staking everything on this one throw and wanted to give it a try. Old ancestor, how confident are you? 50%. However, with your help, I have a 99% chance of succeeding in the 7 rebirth realms. How can I help? Longao was very curious. He didn't know how the old ancestor needed his help. If it was possible, he would help no matter what. Because the stronger the old ancestor was, the better it would be for the family. It's very simple. When the time comes, I need your aura to enter my divine soul. When I succeed in reincarnating, you can use your divine soul to find me and help me awaken my divine soul at the fastest speed. I see. This kind of thing could be said to be a piece of cake for Longao. Therefore, Longao didn't even think about it and nodded his head in agreement. At this moment, Longao suddenly saw his grandfather at the side. He was overjoyed because he had already guessed his grandfather's current situation. Refining the divine path inheritance. Looking at the old ancestor in front of him, Longao thanked him. Thank you, old ancestor. I wonder how long it will take for my grandfather to completely refine the divine path inheritance. After a month, your grandfather will be able to completely refine the divine path inheritance. However, to achieve the divine path position, it will take at least 1 year. At least 1 year and at most 3 years. Whether it was 1 year or 3 years, Longao was pleasantly surprised because he was sure of one thing. His grandfather was about to become a divine path martial artist. Not only could he extend his life indefinitely, but he would also become the first divine path martial artist in the family. Your grandfather's talent and physique are limited. Therefore, even with my help, he will only be able to break through to the Great Emperor realm. He swallowed his saliva fiercely. In just 3 months, his grandfather had officially broken through to the Great Emperor realm. Such cultivation speed had already surpassed countless people. However, in the eyes of the old ancestor, his grandfather's cultivation speed seemed to be very slow and didn't meet the requirements at all. As if he could see the doubts in Longao's heart, Long Batian smiled and said, if you accept the divine path inheritance, with my help, I am confident that your cultivation can instantly break through to the titled Great Emperor realm. You can even reach the divine path realm within 3 months. Longao absolutely believed in this point. Firstly, he had the desolate sacred body. As long as he had enough power, it seemed that the bottleneck in the realm wouldn't be a problem at all. Secondly, with the help of the old ancestor, breaking through to the Great Emperor realm wouldn't be a problem at all. However, Longao didn't have the slightest regret. As everyone knew, once a martial artist accepted the divine path inheritance, he wouldn't be able to continue to break through to a higher realm for the rest of his life. This was undoubtedly a huge blow to him. Therefore, Longao decided that no matter what kind of divine path inheritance, even if it was the divine path inheritance, he would refuse and not accept it. Old ancestor, when are you going to enter the reincarnation path? I don't know yet. After 6 reincarnations, I have gradually touched a trace of the rules. Therefore, as long as I cooperate with the right time, place and people, I believe that I will definitely succeed. Longao shrugged helplessly. He seemed to have thought of something and suddenly asked, Old ancestor, if you don't enter the reincarnation path and choose to absorb the spiritual energy instead, will you be able to break through quickly? Long Ao suddenly thought of the grave of the gods because there were thousands of spiritual energy there. If the old ancestor could really absorb it and get a few more divine path inheritances, then there was no doubt that there would be more divine path martial artists in the family. Just thinking about it made him excited. At this moment, Long Batian asked, Ao, are you talking about the legendary grave of the gods? Chapter 603. Nodding, it seemed that the old ancestor also knew about the grave of the gods. Ao, don't ask about the grave of the gods anymore. Old ancestor, why is that? Hearing the old ancestor's words, Long Ao's heart skipped a beat. He seemed to know something. Ao, I can tell you that the grave of the gods is not something you can interfere with. Even the Long family has to think twice. Otherwise, after so many years, the grave of the gods would have been occupied. So that was it. Long Ao had always been curious why the grave of the gods had not been discovered after so many years. Could it be that he was really lucky? And there were the souls of the Long family in the grave of the gods. With the Long family's strength, they should have found the grave of the gods long ago. But why didn't the Long family make a move? At this moment, Long Ao finally understood the real reason. Although the old ancestor did not say it explicitly, the meaning was clear. There was a super force behind the grave of the gods. Since that was the case, Long Ao did not continue to dwell on it. After chatting with Long Batian for a while, he got up and left the cave. As for his grandfather, the old ancestor had just said that it would take at least a month for his grandfather to refine the divine Tao inheritance. At that time, his grandfather would be a great emperor. What did this mean? His grandfather's breakthrough meant that he would become the first great emperor of the Long family. Long Ao returned to the family and immediately went to find his parents and Aoshue. Because he had been missing for 3 months, the entire Long family was worried to death. The news of Long Ao's sudden return seemed to have grown wings. In a short day, it had already spread throughout the 9 states, including the ears of the 9-state spirit realm's 4 major forces. At the beginning, the 4 major forces did not believe it at all. Without exception, the 4 major forces sent people into Tianju to inquire about Long Ao's return. The 4 major forces could not imagine how Long Ao could return to the family when he had died in the beast tide. Could it be that Long Ao was really not dead? As expected. The people sent by the 4 great powers all came back to report that Long Ao was not dead and had returned to the Long family. At this moment, the 4 great forces were completely shocked because no one believed that Long Ao really hadn't died and had instead swaggered back. Although he didn't place Long Ao in his eyes, Long Ao was still a problem. If Long Ao wanted to take revenge, the 4 major forces would suffer heavy losses. Long Ao's return completely threw the 4 great forces into chaos. 9-state spirit realm, Long family's main hall. Family head, Long Ao is indeed not dead. He is now in the Long family. How should we deal with him? Waving his hand, Long Maoan did not seem to care about Long Ao at all. He said coldly, so what if he's not dead? If we could kill him once, we can kill him a second time. Family head, Long Ao didn't die this time. I'm afraid that he has evil intentions. If he attacks, it will be difficult for us to deal with him. Nodding, Long Maoan said in agreement, that's true. It seems like we have to plan this carefully. Ever since the beast tide invaded the 9 states and almost destroyed the 9 states, the other 3 families are like fire and water. It seems like it won't be easy to combine the 4 great forces to deal with Long Ao. Family head, Long Ao's return this time seems too peaceful. According to Long Ao's personality, he would have come for us a long time ago. But now, for some reason, Long Yang had a bad feeling in his heart. It was as if something bad was about to happen. It was because of this that Long Yang wanted to eliminate Long Ao once and for all. Great Elder, you don't seem to be right. With our relationship, just tell me what you want to say. Family head, I don't know why, but I feel that Long Ao is very dangerous with his sudden return. If we let him continue to develop, he will become a big problem for us sooner or later. Instead of endless trouble, it's better to cut the Gordian knot now. Hearing Long Yang's words, Long Maoan was very surprised. Because Long Yang didn't seem to be like this all these years. Long Maoan didn't say anything. The entire hall was silent. Both of them were thinking about the same thing. Spirit realm of the 9 states, inside the imperial city. Duan Kai and Duan He, who had also received the news, were also extremely gloomy. Both of them didn't expect Longao to return safely. They couldn't understand how Longao could survive the beast tide. What happened? Father, Longao has returned this time. If nothing unexpected happens, he will definitely come to find us for revenge. How should we deal with it? Duan Kai and Duan He were obviously wary of Longao. Because this person had repeatedly inflicted heavy losses on the 4 major forces and survived the beast tide. Just this point alone showed that Longao wasn't simple at all. As the saying goes, it's better to be safe than sorry. He who strikes first gains the advantage. He who strikes later suffers. Father, if we act alone, once we suffer any losses, the other 3 forces will benefit. How could Duan Kai not know about his son's worries? After thinking for a moment, he said, "This matter is very simple. As long as we send out all the major clans and sects that have entered the imperial city this time, in addition to testing the waters, we can also test the other 3 forces." Duan He was very curious. He didn't know what his father meant. "Do as I say." Having no choice, Duan He shrugged helplessly and immediately got up to leave. Spirit realm of the 9 states, ethereal palace. Feng Wui and Liu Buming also received the news. Among the 4 major forces, the ethereal palace and the imperial city hated Longao the most. Because when Longao made a scene in the ethereal palace and escaped safely, the news had spread throughout the 9 states. It was also at that time that the ethereal palace lost its face. Originally, they thought that Longao was dead, but Feng Wui and Liu Buming didn't expect that Longao would return safely. The 2 of them, like the others, couldn't figure out how Longao could survive the beast tide and only appear after 3 months. No one knew about Longao's matters. Feng Wui and Liu Buming didn't speak because they saw a trace of ruthlessness in each other's eyes. When they received the news that Longao had returned, they had already decided that no matter what happened this time, they would kill Longao and get rid of all future troubles. However, the 2 of them were not fools. Of course, they wouldn't do it themselves. They didn't know if it was discussed or not, but the 4 major forces sent out their respective sects and families to test first. The 4 major forces were ready to make a move. Longao had already received the news, but he didn't pay attention to the 4 major forces. This time, Longao had already decided that even if the 4 major forces didn't come to him, he would go to them. Sooner or later, he would have to pay for what he did. Chapter 604. The 4 major forces had sent out their sects and families at the same time in order to test the strength of the dragon sect. However, Longao didn't give the 4 forces a chance this time. Before the 4 forces could react, all the people they sent out were slaughtered. What kind of concept was this? Everyone knew that this time around, the dragon sect was truly going to rise. After the massacre, Longao immediately started to counterattack. The corpse demon army was divided into 4 forces and started to attack the 4 forces. The East Royal City, the West Third Rank Long family, the South Nether Mansion, and the North Ethereal Palace were the absolute overlords of the 9-state spirit domain. After so many years, who dared to provoke the 4 forces? In everyone's eyes, Longao was very arrogant. He was going to fight the 4 forces alone and attack the 4 forces at the same time. Although everyone supported Longao and the dragon sect, no one was willing to believe that they could fight the 4 forces alone. After all, the strength of the 4 forces was there for all to see. However, the dragon sect still chose to continue attacking. This time, Long Fu had used 3 months to refine a total of 1 million corpse slaves. As for the remaining 9 million corpse slaves, he believed that he could refine them all within a year. However, even 1 million corpse demons was no joke. As long as the 4 forces were a little careless, the consequences would be unimaginable. 1 million corpse demons were divided into 4 forces. Each force had a total of 250,000 corpse demons. Such a terrifying existence was close to the four forces. The whole world was shocked by the dragon sect's corpse demon army. Most importantly, everyone knew that the corpse demon army of the dragon sect was immortal and could fight against 100 people alone. If that was the case, 1,000,000 corpse demon army was enough to stop tens of millions of disciples. Therefore, the four forces didn't dare to fight head-on. They immediately sealed all the teleportation channels so that Longao's corpse demon army couldn't enter the nine-state spirit domain. The only teleportation channel that the Imperial City gave to Longao was also taken back by the Imperial City. This way, the nine-state spirit domain and the ordinary spirit domain were completely cut off. Regarding this point of the four major forces, Longao was very depressed. As the overlord of the nine-state spirit domain, all the teleportation channels between the two spirit domains were sealed. In other words, as long as the four forces were willing, the dragon sect couldn't enter the nine-state spirit domain. As for the City of Sin, it was impossible to resist the four forces. It would not be an easy task to forcefully break open the teleportation channel. The corpse demon army of 1,000,000 stopped in front of every teleportation channel. Once the four great forces opened the teleportation channel, the corpse demon army would invade spirit realm from all sides. Although all the teleportation channels were closed and the corpse demon army could not enter the spirit realm of the nine states, Longao did not miss this opportunity. He led the dragon sect and immediately began to sweep through the nine states. Longao knew very well that if he wanted to fight against the four major forces, just relying on the corpse slave army was not enough. This was because the four major forces had existed for so long, and their foundation was there. It was not something that the dragon sect could catch up with in a short time. It was precisely because of this that Longao was still prepared to deal with the nine states first and develop the dragon sect's power. Due to the dragon sect's actions of shutting down all the teleportation portals, the four major forces had lost all face. Even so, the four major forces dared not utter a single word. After all, the four major forces knew very well what an army of 1,000,000 corpses represented. Longao's strategy was very simple. On one hand, he would guard the teleportation channel and wait for the four major forces to open it. On the other hand, he would control the nine states and make the dragon sect the true overlord of the nine states. At this time, Longao chose to be ruthless. Wherever the dragon sect went, there would be bloody suppression. No matter who it was, anyone who did not submit would be killed without mercy. In a short time, Longao could easily control the nine states, but there was also a drawback. Bloody suppression. Countless people would be unhappy with the dragon sect. Even if they accepted the space in a short time, there would be unavoidable consequences. Once there was a chance, these so-called families and sects would definitely resist. Longao had already guessed this problem, but at this time, there was no other way. He could only choose bloody suppression. Dragon sect, main hall. Everyone was pleasantly surprised by Longao's return. It was still the same sentence. When everyone found out that Longao had died in the Beast-Tide Forbidden area, their first reaction was that the sky was falling. Fortunately, the four great forces only knew about internal strife at this time and did not attack the dragon sect. Otherwise, one could imagine what would happen to the dragon sect. However, everything was over. Longao had returned to the dragon sect in the end. This way, even if the four major forces returned, they would not have to worry. Longao was the soul of the dragon sect. Everyone had not reacted to the master's sudden action until now. Because they never expected that the master would first send out an army of corpses to attack the four major forces as soon as he returned. Then, he would directly start a bloody suppression of the nine states. It was precisely because of this that everyone was very worried. Aotian the Ghost King said directly, "Sovereign, this time, we have bloodily suppressed the nine states and accumulated a lot of hatred. If the forces that originally supported us change sides, we will be in a lot of trouble." How could Longao not know about the Ghost King's worries? The Snake Emperor stood out and said, "That may not be the case. This is the best time for us to develop quickly. Once the four major forces react, our advantage will no longer exist. At that time, the 9 states will not be able to unify and we will be in a passive position. Therefore, I choose to support the master. Gradually, everyone began to divide into 2 factions. Some supported the Ghost King, and some supported the Snake Emperor. Waving his hand, the main hall instantly calmed down. After coughing twice, Longao suddenly said, "If nothing unexpected happens, we will soon start a war with the 4 major forces. At that time, the 9 states will still be in a state of disunity. It will be difficult for us to gain the upper hand in Jianjing City with just the army of corpses." Seeing that no one was speaking, Longao continued, "Bloody suppression, there are a lot of repercussions. I know this in my heart, but we have no other choice. When the time comes, we can only block soldiers with arms and water with earth." The master's meaning was very clear. Everyone could only agree. The 4 major forces have sealed all the teleportation channels. In a short period of time, it will be difficult for us to attack the 9-state spirit domain. Therefore, we must think of a way to pry open the teleportation channels as soon as possible and attack the 9-state spirit domain. Before the 4 major forces react, we can take the initiative. Things had already reached this stage. Everyone knew that the sect had to stake everything on this one throw. Otherwise, they would be doomed eternally. "Master, then what should we do?" All the teleportation channels were controlled by the 4 major forces. Therefore, prying open the teleportation channels was not an easy task. After thinking for a while, Longao said, "I will inform you tomorrow. Today, everyone must be 120% alert. I will say the same thing again. Those who are not convinced will be killed immediately. P.S. I have nothing to do in the afternoon. I can write in peace." Chapter 605. Looking at the master in front of them, they didn't know why but they felt that the master seemed to have changed. After leaving the hall, Longao walked towards the forbidden grounds at the back of the mountain. Other than Longao, no one dared to step into the forbidden grounds at the back of the mountain. Everyone knew that the dragon sect had a great emperor-level super-existence. It was because of this person that the dragon sect was able to survive when the 4 major forces attacked them. "Big brother Chilean, how are your injuries?" Longao was very concerned about Chilean's injuries because the stronger Chilean was, the more benefits it would bring to the sect. Moreover, Longao had already acknowledged Fire Chilean as a friend. The Fire Chilean shook its head helplessly. When it thought of its injuries, it felt very depressed. It said helplessly, "I thought that with the spiritual herbs you found for me, I could recover to my original strength. However, I never thought that my injuries would still be unable to recover to their peak." Longao had already guessed this. Although the Chilean clan was the strongest clan in the world, it had its advantages and disadvantages. "Big brother Chilean, what if I can help you recover to your peak in the shortest time possible?" "What's the matter?" Since things had already come to this point, Longao had to be honest and said, "Big brother Chilean, I have returned this time to take revenge on the 4 major forces. When the time comes, I will need Big brother Chilean's help." It was no secret that the 4 major forces had great emperor-level martial artists. Longao had also thought about this. He and the 4 major forces would go to war sooner or later. Once the war started, they would use their foundation. No one knew if the great emperor-level martial artists would participate in the war in the end. Prevention was better than cure. Longao didn't dare to gamble and couldn't gamble. Because of this, he was prepared to help Fire Chilean recover to his peak strength. This way, with Fire Chilean in the sect and his grandfather in the family, they could protect themselves. In fact, Longao had already thought about it. If the sect were to go to war with the 4 major forces, his grandfather would be the master. At that time, the 2 great emperors would be able to ignore any force. As for the family, Longao had already thought about it. The old ancestor wouldn't enter the reincarnation cycle for the time being. In this case, with the old ancestor in the family, even if the imperial city, the ethereal palace, the nether mansion, and the 3rd grade Long family joined forces, the old ancestor wouldn't put them in his eyes. This was the divine Tao. This was the most powerful existence in the world. Although Longao knew that there was still the peak of martial arts above the divine Tao, in the eyes of ordinary people, divine Tao martial artists were already godlike existences. Longao, there's no need for me to hide our relationship. It's very difficult to recover my true body's strength, unless there's a way. Devouring the souls of great emperors? This is the first point. Apart from that, I also need a large amount of blood. Otherwise, it will be very difficult for me to reach the peak of my true body's strength. Big brother Chilean, what kind of blood are you talking about? The blood of sacred beasts. So that's how it is. Longao nodded and said, I'll help you look after the souls of great emperors. As for the blood of sacred beasts, it's very easy. I'll prepare it for you later. Longao was very depressed about the souls of great emperors. Therefore, Longao was going to help the fire Chilean get the so-called blood of sacred beasts. While suppressing the 9 states, he cultivated with all his might and comprehended the so-called Tao of divination. The Tao of divination seemed simple, but it was actually very difficult to comprehend. As time passed, Longao became more and more shocked. This was because he slowly realized that the Tao of divination was all-encompassing and ever-changing. It was very profound. Crimson State. Following the complete defeat of the 4 major forces, the forces in the Crimson State were also completely massacred by the Dragon Sect. From then on, the 99 steps of heaven belonged to the Dragon Sect. However, Longao wasn't stingy. Apart from the disciples of the Dragon Sect, anyone who belonged to the Dragon Sect would have a chance to climb the 99 steps of heaven. Many people were very satisfied with Longao's decision. However, with the continuous bloody suppression of the Dragon Sect, more and more people were dissatisfied with the Dragon Sect. However, due to the powerful forces of the Dragon Sect, they could only endure. In the end, the bloody suppression of the Dragon Sect this time was definitely the biggest hidden danger in the future. However, things had already reached this point. Longao really couldn't care about anything else. This was because he didn't know when the 4 major forces would open the transmission channel. He also didn't know when he would start a war with the 4 major forces. Therefore, he had to be prepared. On the 99 steps of heaven, Longao stood on the first step and looked at the highest point of Cloud City. At this moment, Longao's body suddenly moved. For some reason, Longao really wanted to step on the 99 steps of heaven again and see Yi Gudu. Until now, he still didn't know who Yi Gudu was. Longao had also asked many people who Yi Gudu was. However, without exception, no one knew who Yi Gudu was. Longao could almost say that Yi Gudu was very powerful. He even had a feeling that Yi Gudu's strength was not inferior to Long Tian and the primordial divine dragon. It was even close to the heavenly Tao. Moreover, Yi Gudu had created the 99 steps of heaven. This in itself already showed how powerful this person was. Could Yi Gudu be the heavenly Tao? Thinking of this possibility, Longao smiled. No matter how he thought about it, he still couldn't figure out who Yi Gudu was. Longao was prepared to step on the 99 steps of heaven again. When the time came, the truth would be revealed. With his previous experience, Longao easily reached the 80th step of the heaven stairway. However, after reaching the 81st step of the heaven stairway, Longao felt that he could not bear it anymore. Even though he had successfully reached the peak of the heaven stairway the first time, the second time was still so difficult. Longao's cultivation had already broken through to become a beginner saint. It was because of this that he wanted to make use of the pressure of the steps of heaven to stabilize his cultivation as a beginner saint. If he was lucky, he might be able to break through to become a middle saint. Longao was well aware that although he had already broken through to become a beginner sage, he still had a long way to go before he could reach the illusionary divine stage. The only thing he had to do now was to break through to the peak of the sage realm as quickly as possible. 98 steps of the heaven stairway. Longao was already exhausted and even injured. He was only left with one more step. If others knew that Longao had already reached the top of the steps of heaven twice, what would they think? Finally, Longao stepped on the 99th step. It was also at this moment that Longao felt that the pressure around him had disappeared. There was no breakthrough in his cultivation, but he had completely stabilized his cultivation as a beginner saint. This was a very exciting thing. When he reached the top of the steps of heaven, Longao looked at the clouds around him. Until now, he was still very shocked. Who exactly was Yi Gudu? How could he create 99 steps of heaven? Chapter 606. At the top of the stairway. The surroundings were covered by white clouds for thousands of miles. Longao stood in the clouds and sensed the aura around him. Where was Yi Gudu? Longao was very curious, because the first time he reached the top of the stairway, Yi Gudu appeared. But this time, Yi Gudu did not appear. Why was that? Longao did not choose to give up. Instead, he sat quietly at the top of the stairway, waiting for the so-called Yi Gudu. Time passed bit by bit. After an unknown amount of time, Yi Gudu finally appeared with the same huge face. At this moment, Longao was 100% sure that Yi Gudu was not the so-called heavenly Tao. "You're looking for me?" Nodding, Longao did not hide anything and said, "Senior, I want to know your identity." Hearing this, Yi Gudu smiled and said, "You're not qualified now." Longao, "I already know everything about you in the 9 prefectures. If you want to know my identity, you have to deal with the 9 prefectures and become the overlord of the 9 prefectures." Longao had already guessed this answer. "Longao, remember one thing, if you want to walk out of the well, you have to set your sights even further, and the Long family is your springboard." Long family. As one of the strongest forces in the world, Longao naturally knew what the Long family represented. "Senior, can I ask you 2 things? Yi Gudu did not refuse, which meant that he had tacitly agreed. Longao was delighted and directly asked, "Senior, I believe you've heard of the WN Shou sect. I want to know, is the beast tide controlled by the WAN Shou sect?" Longao had already thought about this matter for 3 whole months. In the end, Longao could only think of the WAN Shou sect. According to his understanding, the WAN Shou sect was a sect that specialized in controlling spirit beasts. For example, Shapotian could actually control spirit beasts for his own use. This was the same principle as controlling corpse slaves. Longao wasn't sure if the beast tide was controlled by the WN Shou sect, so he wanted to ask Yi Dugu. Yi Dugu seemed to be very surprised, but he still nodded and said, "The beast tide is indeed controlled by the WN Shou sect, but Longao, I can tell you that the WN Shou sect did not create the beast tide to attack the 9 continents, do you understand?" "I know that." Regarding this point, Longao naturally knew it clearly. The WN Shou sect was a super existence on the same level as the Long family. If the WN Shou sect wanted to destroy the 9 states, they could do it in a matter of minutes. As for the purpose of the WN Shou sect, Longao didn't ask Yi Dugu, because he could almost think of the answer, "You are not qualified." Hearing this, Longao was speechless. "Senior, I've heard of a legend in the past. No matter who it is, as long as they can step onto the top of the 99 heavenly stairs, they will be able to obtain a peerless treasure. May I know if this is true?" Longao laughed in his heart. Helplessly shaking his head, Yi Dugu obviously admired Longao, so he wasn't angry at all. Instead, he said, "When you first stepped onto the heavenly stairs, I wanted to give it to you, but it wasn't suitable at that time. Since you want it now, I'll give it to you in advance." Pleasantly surprised, Longao was looking forward to the treasure that Yi Dugu gave him. He was almost certain that Yi Dugu was one of the most powerful supreme martial artists in the world. Therefore, the thing that Yi Dugu gave him shouldn't be ordinary. Then, a small golden ball suddenly appeared in Longao's hand. A divine pill? Looking at the divine elixir in his hand, Longao instantly knew what Yi Dugu had given him. The divine elixir could only be condensed by a divine beast. It was equivalent to containing all the essence of a divine beast. This was Longao's second time seeing a divine pill. Of course, he recognized it at first glance. Back on Spirit Beast Island, Longao risked his life to get the divine pill of the 5-clawed golden dragon from the Heavenly Way avatar. If there were no accidents, once Long Chong refined the divine pill, he believed that he could become a divine beast. As for whether he could reach the height of the five-clawed golden dragon, it all depended on Long Chong's luck. However, Longao had great confidence in Long Chong. In any case, not only did Long Chong obtain a divine pill, but he also obtained the Dragon Clan's most precious treasure, the Divine Dragon Pearl. When the time came to refine the Divine Dragon Pearl, Long Chong could even become the new dragon god of the Dragon Clan. Longao, I'll give this divine pill to you. I hope you won't disappoint me. I look forward to you controlling the 9 provinces. At that time, I'll tell you everything. Before Longao could continue speaking, Yi Dugu had already disappeared without a trace. Divine pill. Longao had never imagined that Yi Dugu would actually give him a divine pill. This mother***'s generosity was a little enviable. It was also because of this that Longao was even more certain that Yi Dugu was a powerful divine martial artist. And the divine pill in his hand was at least an earth god level divine pill. Refine it himself. Longao didn't continue to linger and headed down the heaven stairway. After smoothly returning to the sect, Longao immediately entered the dragon seal space and said straightforwardly, Long Fu, if I refine this divine pill, will I be able to break through to the Great Emperor realm? Master, this divine pill is very powerful. If you can refine it, not to mention the Great Emperor realm, even a titled Great Emperor wouldn't be a problem. However, I hope that Master won't absorb the power of this divine pill. Why is that? Hearing Long Fu's words, Longao was very curious. He didn't know what was going on with Long Fu. Master, I have already sensed that this beast pill is very unusual. Long Fu had already said so much. If Longao still didn't understand, then he would really be a fool. He nodded and asked, then how should I deal with this divine pill? Master, this divine pill is only targeted at you. Therefore, we can refine this divine pill. Not only can it restore the Fire Chaline's peak strength, but it can also increase the strength of your family by 10 times. Although he was a little unwilling, Longao didn't dwell on it. There were gains and losses. Although he couldn't absorb this divine pill, it wasn't a bad thing that the Fire Chaline and his family could enjoy it. Yi Dugu. According to Long Fu, Yi Dugu wasn't a simple person. It was hard to imagine that he could control him. If it wasn't for Long Fu's reminder, the consequences would be unimaginable once he swallowed the divine pill. Long Fu, if you were to refine the divine pill with all your strength, how long would it take? 3 months, or even a year. Longao's heart sank. However, he knew that it was very difficult to refine the divine pill. After all, the divine pill was the essence of a divine beast. If the dragon seal was at its peak, it might be possible. However, the dragon seal had not recovered yet. If Long Fu could refine the divine pill in 3 months, or even a year, it was already very impressive. Chapter 607. 3 months, or even a year. Longao was still able to accept it because the Fire Chaline's injuries would be completely healed in 3 months or a year, and it would reach its peak state. As for the family, Long Fu had just said that once the elixir was refined, the cultivation of everyone in the family would increase by 10 times. What kind of concept was that? Master, there's a way to speed up the refinement of the elixir. What is it? Divine Dragon Pearl. Divine Dragon Pearl? Hearing that Long Fu wanted to use the Divine Dragon Pearl to refine the elixir, Longao was shocked because although Long Chong had obtained the Divine Dragon Pearl, he had been unable to refine it. Otherwise, his cultivation would have increased greatly. Because of this, Longao was very curious. He did not know what Long Fu wanted to do to refine the elixir with the help of the Divine Dragon Pearl. Master, do you know why Long Chong has been unable to refine the Divine Dragon Pearl? Shaking his head, Longao really did not know about this. Longao was not a fool. Since Long Fu said so, it seemed like Long Fu knew the reason. He was very excited because Long Chong had been unable to refine the elixir all this time. In that case, it would be the same whether Long Chong had the Divine Dragon Pearl or not. Master, the Divine Dragon Pearl has the taboo of the previous dragon god. Therefore, if this little guy wants to refine the divine dragon pearl, he must first deal with this taboo. Long Fu, you mean to use the divine dragon pearl to refine the elixir and break the taboo of the divine dragon pearl at the same time? That's right, killing two birds with one stone. In that case, let's start immediately. Master, I can't do this, but there's someone who can. Who? Your ancestor, Long Batian. Without continuing to ask, Longao immediately left the sect and headed back to his family. Longao already understood Long Fu's intentions. No matter what, the old ancestor Long Batian was still a divine warrior with 6 reincarnations. If the old ancestor was willing to help, then this matter would be much easier. As soon as he stepped into the clan, Longao was summoned by his grandfather, Longao. Inside the secret chamber, looking at his grandfather in front of him, Longao was very curious. According to the old ancestor, his grandfather would need at least a month to come out of seclusion. At that time, his grandfather would be a genuine great emperor. But now, in less than 10 days, Grandpa had already come out of seclusion. What was going on? As if he could guess what his grandson was thinking, Longao smiled and said, this time, with the help of the ancestor, I have successfully refined the Supreme Tao inheritance. Although I have not yet broken through to the Supreme Tao realm, the ancestor has already said that according to this speed, I will definitely be able to become a Supreme Tao warrior in 3 years at the shortest. Hearing his grandfather's words, although Longao had already guessed it, he couldn't help but be pleasantly surprised. Once his grandfather reached the Divine Tao realm, the first Divine Tao warrior would appear in the clan. Whether a clan had a Divine Tao warrior was too important. It could be said that once a clan had a Divine Tao warrior, it could completely dominate the 9 states. As for the 4 major forces, they could only obediently step aside. Grandpa, there's something I don't understand. The old ancestor told me that you'll come out of seclusion in a month, but why now? It's very simple. The old ancestor used his own strength to forcibly speed up my cultivation. Nodding his head, Longao instantly understood the old ancestor's meaning. It was nothing more than wanting to help him. If there were no accidents, the old ancestor should have already known that he was about to go to war with the 4 major forces. He forcibly helped his grandfather to break through to the Great Emperor realm in advance in order to help him. Longao was very grateful to the old ancestor and asked, Grandpa, I believe you should know about the matter between the sect and the 4 major forces. Do you think we should go to war now? Long family and Dragon sect, perhaps in the eyes of outsiders, were originally 2 different sects, but whether it was the people of Dragon sect or Long family, they were very clear that the Long family and Dragon sect were inseparable. You're too anxious. Previously, because of the beast tide, the 4 major forces have already broken off. If there are no accidents, I believe that the 4 major forces will definitely fight to the death. At that time, our Dragon sect can just come out and take advantage of it. Nodding his head, Longao agreed with his grandfather's words. This time, he was indeed anxious. However, regarding the matter of the beast tide, Longao was filled with anger. He couldn't wait to immediately destroy the 4 major forces. Grandpa, then what should we do now? The older the ginger, the spicier the ginger. Of course, Longao wouldn't make the decision alone. Otherwise, he and the Dragon sect wouldn't have developed to such an extent. Longao thought for a while and said, why don't we take a step back in order to advance? Grandpa, what do you mean by taking a step back in order to advance? The reason why the 4 major forces have joined forces this time is mainly to deal with you. So, as long as you disappear, I believe that the 4 major forces will attack each other and then go away to deal with Dragon sect. Regarding his grandfather's meaning, Longao instantly understood. Grandpa, I know what to do. You have to arrange it flawlessly. Otherwise, once the 4 major forces see through your intentions, not only will it be useless, it will even be counterproductive. Yes. All right, I know that you came back for something this time. Go. After saying goodbye to his grandfather, Longao immediately sensed the old ancestor's aura and appeared in the cave. You're looking for me? Longao nodded and said, Old ancestor, Grandpa has broken through to the Great Emperor realm. This time, I'm looking for you mainly because of the Divine Dragon Pearl and the Divine Pill. Before Longao could say anything, Longao said first, Old ancestor, do you know Yidugu? Why did you suddenly mention this person? Longao didn't hide anything from the old ancestor. He told him everything that had happened in detail, including the 2 times he had met Yidugu. Longao wasn't a fool. When he saw the old ancestor's expression, he knew that the old ancestor definitely knew Yidugu. He was instantly delighted and hoped that he could get information about Yidugu's identity from the old ancestor. Aoa, you want to know Yidugu's identity? That's right, old ancestor. To be honest, the divine pill that Yidugu gave me previously had a secret. So, I guess that this person seems to be plotting something. Yidugu is definitely not a simple person to be able to create the 99 steps of the heavenly stairway. So, old ancestor, I want to ask, who exactly is Yidugu? Aoa, Yidugu is one of the strongest people in the world other than Tian Dao. He's the sect master of Heaven and Earth sect. The sect master of Heaven and Earth sect, Yidugu. At this moment, Longao finally knew Yidugu's identity. So, he was the famous sect master of Heaven and Earth sect. Chapter 608. From beginning to end, Longao had never thought that Yidugu would be the sect master of Heaven and Earth sect. Heaven and Earth sect was one of the strongest factions in the world. Heaven and Earth sect, Wan Shou sect, and Long family were on the same level. One could imagine how powerful the sect master of Heaven and Earth sect was. Aoa, you're right. Yidugu is not looking for you for anything good. So unless there are special circumstances, you'd better not have any contact with him. Longao already knew what to do without the old ancestor saying more. Since he already knew Yidugu's true identity and knew that Yidugu had other plans for him, Longao naturally would not have any contact with him. Aoa, although I still don't know why Yidugu is looking for you, I'm sure it's not a good thing. Before Longao could speak, Long Batian continued, Aoa, what are you going to do with this divine pill? I'm going to refine it. He spoke his thoughts in full detail. After hearing this, Long Batian nodded and said, you must know what to do. As if unwilling to dwell on this issue, Long Batian suddenly said, Aoa, you have to settle the grudge between you and the 4 factions as soon as possible. I'm going to enter the 7th reincarnation. Old ancestor, I understand. Longao stayed for 2 hours, discussing something with Long Batian, and then left the cave. The news of Long Haosha reaching the Great Emperor realm instantly spread throughout the 9 states, including the 9-state spirit realm. Although all the teleportation channels were sealed, the news still silently entered the 9-state spirit realm as if it had grown wings. When the 4 factions received the news, all of them were shocked, but no one believed it. Of course, the 4 factions knew Long Haosha very well. How could he reach the Great Emperor realm from the Xiantian realm in just a few months? It was a joke. The 4 factions all thought that Longao was trying to break their confidence, so no one was willing to believe that Long Haosha had reached the Great Emperor realm. The 4 great forces all had great emperors. Hence, the 4 great forces also knew what great emperors represented. The Dragon sect already had a corpse slave army. If a great emperor martial artist appeared, the Dragon sect's strength would increase by several times. Without exception, the 4 great forces all sent people to the Long family in the Tianju to find out more about Longao. However, Longao clearly did it on purpose this time. He killed all the people sent by the 4 great forces. As such, the 4 great factions were even more unsure if Long Haosha's breakthrough to the martial monarch realm was real. When the news of Long Haosha breaking through to the Great Emperor realm spread, another shocking piece of news came from the Dragon sect, stirring up the 9 prefectures once again. It turned out that the Dragon sect had spread the news that the Long family had suddenly sent out a messenger to take away Longao. The Dragon sect was afraid of a sneak attack, so they had directly summoned back the 1,000,000 corpse slaves. If it was any ordinary news, the 4 major forces would not believe it at all. However, the Long family had taken away Longao. The ethereal palace, Nether Mansion, and Imperial City believed it without a doubt. This was because the Long family had a rule that as long as one was not a disciple of the third rank and above, once one became a dragon martial artist, one would definitely be summoned by the Long family. If one was lucky, it would be fine. However, if one was unlucky, one might not be able to return for the rest of his life. After receiving the news that Longao had been summoned by the Long family, the Ethereal Palace, Nether Mansion, and Imperial City immediately opened up the teleportation channel. Among the four great factions, only the third-rank Long family did not do anything. The third-rank Long family looked down on the third-rank Long family. They were obviously scared of Longao. Spirit domain of the 9 prefectures, third-rank Long family's main hall. Patriarch, the 3 great factions have already opened up the teleportation channel. If there are no accidents, the 3 great factions will definitely join forces to deal with the dragon sect. What should we do? Long Maoan's expression was very serious. He waved his hand and said, I can say that the 3 great factions will definitely not join forces to deal with the dragon sect. Do you believe me? Patriarch, why is that so? Long Yang was very curious. He did not know what the Patriarch meant. Under normal circumstances, Long Ao would be summoned away by the Long clan. Taking advantage of this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, the 3 major forces, including his own side, should join hands and destroy the dragon sect in one fell swoop. In this way, even if Long Ao returned, it would be very difficult for him to make a comeback in a short period of time. This time, Long Ao has been summoned by the Long family. I believe that the 3 great factions will think that the dragon sect is no longer a threat to them. Therefore, the 3 great factions will fight for the 9 states again. Patriarch, you mean that the 3 great factions want to occupy the 9 states and find the grave of the gods as soon as possible? That's right. For so many years, we have been searching for the grave of the gods, but to no avail. Now, how could the 3 great factions give up on this rare opportunity? Patriarch, what should we do then? Long Maoan lowered his head and began to ponder. After thinking for a while, he continued, I don't know why, but I have a bad feeling, as if something is going to happen. However, we still have to act. Otherwise, once the 9 states are occupied by the 3 great factions, it will be much more difficult for us to get in. Long Yang heaved a sigh of relief. Long Yang was really afraid that the Patriarch would give up on this opportunity. No matter what, Long Ao had been summoned by the Long family and his fate was unknown. The million-strong corpse slave army had all been withdrawn. This was the best opportunity for the 4 great factions to fight for the 9 states. The dragon sect's strong rise was something that the 4 great factions had not expected. Otherwise, the 4 great factions would have gone all out to destroy the dragon sect. They would not be in trouble today. They regretted it. There was no medicine for regret in this world. However, now that Long Ao's fate was unknown, the dragon sect was indeed not a concern. Long Yang, go and contact the dragon sect later. If they are willing, the Long family and the dragon sect can become branches of our great factions. As for the benefits, you can talk to them yourself. Long Yang, of course, knew what the Patriarch meant. While Long Ao was away, they would capture the dragon sect. This way, the million-strong corpse slaves of the dragon sect would all belong to the great factions. 1 million strong corpse slaves. Just thinking about it made Long Yang excited. He could not wait to get his hands on the million-strong corpse slaves. Long Yang could totally imagine that if the great factions really got their hands on the million-strong corpse slaves, the other 3 great factions would not be a problem. So, Long Yang immediately turned and left. In the hall, Long Maoan sat quietly. His expression was getting more and more serious. He muttered to himself in confusion, why did the Long family choose to summon Long Ao at this time? This is a little strange. What is wrong? What is it? Long Maoan could not figure it out, but he had a bad feeling. P.S. Writing all kinds of irritation. You probably won't understand this feeling. I have been writing for more than 10 hours a day. When I get irritable, I would rather die. Sigh. Chapter 609. East Imperial City, West third rank Long family, South Nether mansion, North ethereal palace. Just as Longao had guessed, he had successfully captured the hearts of the four forces by retreating in order to advance. Without a doubt, just as Longao had guessed, the news that he had been summoned by the Long family spread. The four forces did not put the dragon sect in their eyes. In the end, the four forces were wary of Longao, not the dragon sect. This was very important. Longao had been summoned by the Long family, and his fate was unknown. Millions of corpse slaves had been summoned back. This time, all the teleportation channels had been opened. The four forces swarmed into the 9 prefectures. Before they had even gained a foothold, they had already started fighting to the death. This time, the four forces had used their trump cards. The flames of war had spread to every place in the 9 prefectures. Corpses were everywhere, and blood flowed like rivers. The air of the 9 prefectures was filled with a thick smell of blood. At this time, Longao had already sent millions of corpse slaves into the 9 prefectures' spirit domain. From beginning to end, the four forces did not know at all. Not only that, Longao had personally entered the 9 prefectures' spirit domain, preparing to close the door and beat the dogs. After all, the dragon sect and his family were protected. He did not need to worry at all. 10 days later, the four forces were still fighting to the death in the 9 prefectures. But at this time, the 9 prefectures' spirit domain suddenly sent news that millions of corpse slaves had begun to attack the four forces. Longao did not appear. What was going on? According to the four forces, Longao had been summoned by the Long family. The millions of corpse slaves could not attack the four forces. But what was the result? The dragon sect had caught the four forces off guard. The four major forces didn't dare to be careless and immediately began to counterattack. However, the million corpse slaves were undying, and each of them could fight against 100. In addition, the four major forces weren't prepared at all. In this way, in just a short day, the four major forces were forced to retreat. In the end, they could only defend and not attack. This time, Longao had learned his lesson. He directly sent out 200,000 corpse slaves to guard the 2 teleportation channels. This way, he wouldn't have to worry about the 4 great forces blocking the teleportation channel and preventing him from entering the spirit realm of the 9 states. The 4 major forces could be said to be utterly dejected right now. None of them had expected that the dragon sect would take such drastic measures to deal with them. If not for the fact that the 4 major forces had a solid foundation, they would have long been lying on the ground by now. Take drastic measures. The dragon sect used this move, and so did the 4 great forces. The 4 major forces discussed with the fastest speed possible. In the end, each of the 4 major forces sent an Earth Saint martial artist. A total of 4 Earth Saints would head to the dragon sect. They were prepared to control the upper echelons of the dragon sect and force the million-strong corpse slave army to retreat. In the 8 stages of the illusionary divine stage, the martial artists were ranked in ascending order: half sage, sage, earth sage, heaven sage, sage king, sage emperor, sage reverend and sage emperor. An Earth Saint was already considered a treasure of the 4 major forces. Under normal circumstances, the 4 major forces would not be willing to use their Earth Saint cultivators. However, now that things had developed to this point, the 4 great forces had no other choice. In the end, they could only send out Earth Saint cultivators, hoping that they could wipe out the dragon sect in one fell swoop. 4 Earth Saints. This force was enough to destroy any force in the 9 regions. The 4 major forces did not tell anyone that they had sent out 4 Earth Saints so that they could succeed in one fell swoop. Although the dragon sect had an emperor, the Long family might not have one. As for the news that Longao had broken through to the emperor realm, the 4 major forces did not believe it at all. Therefore, they sent out 4 Earth Saints to the Long family. Tianju, Long family. Longao Peak was quiet. In the dark night, only the croaking of frogs could be heard. At this moment, 4 figures suddenly appeared. The 4 of them looked at each other and did not say a word. The 4 of them then shot towards Longao Peak. In the blink of an eye, they had already disappeared into the dark night. Since the 4 of you are here, Why don't you come and have a drink? The four of them had just arrived at Longao Peak and were about to start a massacre when a voice suddenly rang out, almost scaring the four of them to death. The four of them were not fools. As Earth Saints, even if they were born, it was impossible for them to appear silently. Could it be that the other party was really an Emperor Realm expert? Rumor had it that the Dragon Sect Master Longao's grandfather, Longao, had suddenly broken through to the Emperor Realm for some unknown reason. At the beginning, no one believed it. But now, the truth was right in front of their eyes. They had no choice but to believe it. An Emperor Realm expert was undefeatable. Thinking of this, the four Earth Saints did not even hesitate. They immediately turned and flew away. But at this moment, a terrifying aura suppressed them. In an instant, Longhao's figure appeared before the four of them. Refusing a toast only to be forced to drink a forfeit. You. Slap. Without giving this person a chance to speak, Longao slapped him. Then, Longao slapped the four Earth Saints' faces with both hands. In just a few seconds, the four of them had turned into pig heads. No one had expected things to develop to this point. You don't know the meaning of death. After having a good time, Longao did not hesitate and killed the four of them with a palm strike each. Earth Saints were like ants in front of an Emperor Realm expert. They did not even have the chance to fight back. The 10 realms of Emperor Realm experts were ranked from lowest to highest: red, orange, yellow, green, cyan, blue, purple, black, white, and gold great emperors. The peak of the 10 realms of Emperor Realm was the so-called titled realm. With Longbation's help, Longao had become a Crimson Great Emperor in a short span of 3 months. Even so, it was still a piece of cake for him to kill the 4 Earth Saints. Father, how should we deal with the 4 of them? Before Aoa left, he had already instructed that no matter who the 4 major forces send, we have to send their corpses back after killing them. I also want to see what the 4 major forces will think when they see the corpses. Long Yi felt like he was dreaming. In less than 2 years, his son had already grown to this stage. Even his father had reached the Emperor Realm. If it was before, he would not have believed it at all. Father, will Aoa be okay when he goes to the 9-state spirit domain to deal with the 4 major forces? They all knew of Aoa's strength. If he encountered an expert above the Earth Saint realm, Aoa would not be able to resist. However, Longao did not seem to be worried at all. He said confidently, I have confidence in Aoa's strength. With the help of 1,000,000 corpse slaves, as long as Aoa is careful, it will be more than enough to deal with the 4 major forces. Father, what should we do now? Send the 4 corpses back. I want to see what the 4 major forces will do. P.S. There are still 5 chapters to go. I will continue to write. Thank you brothers for your support. Little 9 will continue to work hard. Chapter 610. Spirit Domain of the 9 States. The 4 major forces were completely enraged because the corpse sent back by the Dragon Sect was a provocation. The Dragon Sect did not put the 4 major forces in their eyes. Because of this, the 4 major forces finally confirmed one thing. The news that Longao had broken through to the Great Emperor Realm was true. If they knew that Longao was already a Great Emperor Realm martial artist, the 4 major forces would not have sent 4 Earth Saints to their deaths. Earth Saint Realm martial artists were very important to the 4 major forces. They could not afford to lose them. If the 4 major forces were arrogant, they would have taken action long ago if anyone dared to provoke them. But now, in the East Royal City, the Long family, the South Nether Mansion, and the North Ethereal Palace did not dare to act rashly. The reason was simple. The 4 major forces were afraid of the Great Emperor of the Long family, Great Emperor Longao. The Great Emperor Realm martial artist was the strongest existence in the spirit domain of the 9 states. The 4 major forces did not expect Longao to break through to the Great Emperor Realm from the Xiantian Realm in just 3 months. If they had known, they would have killed Longao at all costs to avoid the endless troubles now. The 4 major forces could only seal the news of the Earth Saint Realm martial artist's death. As the saying goes, one can only suffer in silence. The four major forces were in extreme pain. Sin City. The million corpse slaves were divided into four forces and constantly attacked the four major forces. Longao stayed in his headquarters in Sin City because he did not want the four major forces to know that he was not summoned by the Long family. The secret chamber was also considered a forbidden area in Sin City. No one could enter. The current Longao was the emperor of Sin City. In the Dragon Seal space, Longao and Long Fu had been discussing for an entire day and night. The two of them did not seem tired at all and were full of energy. Long Fu, if you want to force the soul of the Nine Tribulations demonic dragon into the body of the five-clawed golden dragon, you must first completely disperse the soul of the Nine Tribulations demonic dragon. However, with your current recovery rate, it seems impossible for you to do so. Nodding, Long Fu said, "The spirit of the Nine Tribulations demonic dragon has been refined by the old master and passed on to you and the little fellow. I didn't expect you to be able to obtain the corpse of the five-clawed golden dragon. Otherwise, I would have kept the spirit of the Nine Tribulations demonic dragon." He shrugged helplessly. Longao was very unwilling to give up. According to Long Fu, if the divine soul of the Nine Tribulations demonic dragon was forcibly integrated into the body of the five-clawed golden dragon, then the corpse demon refined would be at least a great emperor's divine slave, if not a divine way divine slave. However, this great emperor's divine slave strength was comparable to a divine way martial artist. However, it seemed too late to say all this now. In any case, the divine soul of the Nine Tribulations demonic dragon had already been devoured by the primordial divine dragon. Long Fu, there is only one way now. Find a saint's soul and force it into the body of the five-clawed golden dragon. In this way, I believe that the strength of the five-clawed golden dragon's corpse demon will be comparable to an earth saint, or even a heavenly saint. If this was really the case, Longao would be content. Longao knew very well that some things that were yours would always be yours. However, some things that were not yours would not be yours no matter how hard you tried. Why do you have to be like this? He faced it calmly and confidently. Long Fu seemed to be very impressed and said, "Master, even if we can successfully refine it, I believe that this corpse demon won't be of much help for long. Why don't I refine the five-clawed golden dragon and refine Master's weapon properly?" Blood-sucking frenzy blade. Longao had always been very satisfied with his weapon and had never thought of refining it. However, Longao believed in Long Fu. Since Long Fu said that he could refine it, then it must be possible. The five-clawed golden dragon's strength was comparable to the primordial divine dragon. Even the corpse of the five-clawed golden dragon was not to be underestimated. Longao was very curious. He did not know how Long Fu was going to refine the blood-sucking frenzy blade. "Long Fu, how do you want to refine it?" "Master, it's very simple. I'm going to fuse the corpse of the five-clawed golden dragon into the blood-sucking frenzy blade. At that time, the blood-sucking frenzy blade's level will be raised by a level. Moreover, it will have the dragon's might. I believe that its power will be even stronger." After listening to Long Fu's explanation, Longao was also very excited. "Long Fu, how long will it take to refine the blood-sucking frenzy blade?" "I don't know. Master, you have to know that this blood-sucking frenzy blade itself is a divine weapon. It needs to drink blood to continuously level up." Of course, Longao knew this very well. The more enemies killed, the more powerful the blood-sucking frenzy blade would be. However, Longao could not take the blood-sucking frenzy blade and kill people everywhere. Therefore, the blood-sucking frenzy blade could not be upgraded. "Master, leave the blood-sucking frenzy blade to me. I believe that in less than 10 days, I should be able to help you refine it successfully." 10 days. Longao was pleasantly surprised because he never expected that Long Fu would only need 10 days to refine the blood-sucking frenzy blade. Longao nodded and did not want to say anything more. Before leaving the family this time, Longao borrowed the power of the old ancestor to completely refine the divine pill and the divine dragon pearl. The divine dragon pearl had already been devoured by Long Chong. He believed that with the passage of time, Long Qiong would be able to completely refine the divine dragon pearl and become a dragon god. As for the divine pill, Longao divided it into 2 parts. 1/10 was given to the fire Qilin. He believed that with the power of the divine pill, the fire Qilin would be able to recover its original strength in the shortest amount of time. It might even be able to improve. As for the remaining 90%, Longao gave it all to his family and brothers. He hoped that everyone's overall strength would increase by a large margin. Longao knew very well that no matter how strong he was, it was impossible for him to protect his family and brothers all the time. There was only one way, and that was to make all his family members stronger. If so, one day, even if he left, at least he would not have to worry about the safety of his family. The divine pill was the complete essence of a Shinto martial artist or divine beast. Longao certainly knew what the divine pill represented. This time, once everyone refined it, he believed that their cultivation would advance by leaps and bounds. Longao was looking forward to that day. After temporarily settling the corpse of the 5-clawed golden dragon and the blood-drinking wild blade, Longao still did not go out. Instead, he hid in the secret room. In addition to cultivating, he also comprehended the Tao of divination. The more he comprehended, the more Longao felt that the Tao of divination was broad and profound. Longao was speechless about the Tao of divination. Longao had always been very confident about his own talent, but when facing the Tao of divination, it seemed that talent was useless. Could it be that he was not suitable to cultivate the Tao of divination? That was unlikely. Longao knew that since the divine mathematician had chosen him to inherit the Tao of divination, then he must be suitable to cultivate it. Otherwise, the divine mathematician would not have taught him the Tao of divination. Chapter 6:11. For 3 whole days, Longao had been comprehending the Tao of divine divination. In the end, Longao could only give up on the Tao of divine divination. He was clear that comprehending the Tao of divine divination wasn't something that could be done in a day. Just as he left the secret chamber, Longao ran into an old friend. Evil Demon Emperor. Towards this person, Longao was infuriated to the extreme. Because the evil demon was still in possession of Longjing's body. If this continued, Longjing's soul would be damaged sooner or later. If he was in the dragon sect or his family, he could borrow the strength of his grandfather, the fire Qilin, or the old ancestor to deal with the evil demon emperor. But in Sin City, no one was stronger than the evil demon emperor. Before the evil demon could speak, Longao spoke first. I will not hand over the dragon seal and the little fellow. I will not take you as my master. I hope you can give up on this idea. Hearing this, the evil demon wasn't angry at all. Instead, he chuckled. Longao, I'm here to return the little girl to you. As for the matter between us, I'll find you in the future to explain it to you. Heh! What the hell happened? The evil demon's sudden action had completely confused Longao. He didn't know what was going on. Why would the evil demon let Longjing go for no reason? The more the evil demon acted like this, the more Longao felt that something was amiss. Longao, you don't have to worry. If I want to destroy her, it's a piece of cake. If I want to deal with you, it's even easier. But you're still a talent. Evil demon, what do you mean? Longao, let's be frank. Your growth has exceeded my expectations. If there are no accidents, you'll be able to reach the Supreme Tao in 100 years. I have a condition. When your strength reaches a certain height, you just have to help me take revenge. How about it? Longao didn't agree immediately. Longao didn't know who the enemy of the evil spirit was, and how strong they were. If he agreed without careful consideration, what if the evil spirit's enemy was the leader of the Heaven and Earth sect, Yidugu? What should he do then? As if it could guess what Longao was thinking, the evil spirit suddenly smiled and said, Longao, you can rest assured. If you don't have the strength, then even if you believe in yourself, I won't believe in you. He sighed deeply in his heart. Longao knew very well that Longjing was in the hands of the demon. He had no other choice but to agree. Nodding his head, Longao reluctantly agreed, Evil demon, remember what you said today. At this time, the demon suddenly turned into an extremely handsome man. Long Jing was sent over and caught firmly. At this moment, Longao finally heaved a sigh of relief. No matter what, Long Jing was fine. This way, he could answer to Long Potian. Longao, I have to leave for a while. I hope you will work hard in your cultivation. I will come back to find you in the future. Without waiting for Longao to ask, the evil spirit had already turned and left. In the blink of an eye, he disappeared without a trace. Without any hesitation, at this time, Long Potian was also in the city of Sin. Longao immediately called for Long Potian. Long Potian, who had just entered the hall, was about to ask Longao why he was looking for him when he suddenly saw his sister lying on the chair, clearly unconscious. Long Potian quickly walked to Long Jing's side and asked anxiously, "Brother Long, what happened?" Regarding this matter, Longao also did not intend to conceal the slightest bit. He narrated everything that had happened previously in full detail. "Brother Potian, I'm sorry. Master, you're too serious. As long as Jing is fine, I'll take her to rest first." "Okay." Seeing Long Potian carrying Long Jing and leaving, Longao suddenly realized that everything was worth it after being schemed against by the evil demon. Evil spirit, even now, Longao didn't know what evil spirit meant. Even he couldn't take revenge himself, how could he rely on himself? It didn't matter if others believed it or not, he would never believe it. But since things had already reached this stage, Longao knew that he had no other choice. He could only take one step at a time. Longao didn't continue thinking about the evil spirit because he knew that his next priority was to deal with the four major forces. Destroying them was a joke, but heavily injuring them was more than enough. Dusk. Long Jing was gradually waking up. She seemed to remember everything that had happened in the past clearly. After this matter, Long Potian realized that his sister seemed to have changed into a different person. She was silent. Far away. "Brother Long, you saw it too. Jing has been silent all this time. Did the evil spirit emperor do something to her body?" "Impossible, I've already checked it." Long Ao, who had just stabilized Long Jing, had already asked Long Fu for help. After a thorough check, he found that there was nothing wrong with Long Jing, including her soul. Because of this, Long Ao heaved a sigh of relief. In fact, Long Ao could guess that the evil spirit emperor wouldn't do anything to Long Jing. Firstly, with the evil spirit emperor's strength, there was no need for him to do so. Secondly, since the evil spirit emperor had a request, he wouldn't harm Long Jing. Therefore, Long Ao believed that Long Jing's change had nothing to do with the evil spirit emperor. "Brother Long, I would like to ask for your help." Without needing Long Potian to say anything, Long Ao already knew what the matter was. He nodded. After all, this matter was caused by him. If something really happened to Long Jing, even if Long Potian didn't say anything, he wouldn't be able to forgive himself and would feel guilty for the rest of his life. He slowly came behind Long Jing. Before Long Ao could speak, Long Jing's voice was already heard. "Thank you for saving me this time. I already know everything that happened during this period of time. Thank you. Seeing that you helped the family, I'll write off the grudge between us." So she could still talk. Hearing Long Jing finally speak, Long Ao heaved a sigh of relief. "Your brother and I are brothers, so this is what I should do. As for the grudge between us, it was originally a misunderstanding. It'll be fine after we talk it out. As long as you're fine, I'm relieved." "Long Jing, are you really okay?" Long Jing glared fiercely, then suddenly smiled and said, "Of course I'm fine. If not, you probably wouldn't be able to see me now." Nodding, Long Ao said, "What you said makes sense. Your brother is very concerned about you. I'll take my leave first. If there's anything, you can look for me anytime. If it's not convenient, you can look for your brother and let him pass the message to me." Long Ao turned and left. At this time, Long Potian slowly walked over. Looking at the gradually disappearing figure, Long Potian suddenly said, "You guys are not suitable. P.S. F*CK, it's already 2 o'clock and little 9 is still fighting. Everyone, Please give your free recommendation votes to support him. Chapter 612. Big Brother, Can't We Be Together? Long Jing looked at the departing figure in a daze. She didn't know why she had fallen in love with this man. Even now, Long Jing didn't know what had happened to her. Looking at his sister beside him, especially those eyes, how could Long Potian not know what she was thinking? He sighed in his heart. Long Potian knew Longao very well. Now, Longao already had two close female friends. One was Aoshue, and the other was Wang Yuyin. Although the two of them weren't by Longao's side, Longao's feelings for them were clear to him. Longao was also a very loyal person. If it weren't for certain reasons, even Aoshue might not be able to get together with Longao. If that was the case, his sister wouldn't even have the slightest chance. In fact, Long Potian could totally imagine how many girls wouldn't like such an outstanding young man like Longao. He sighed in his heart again. Long Potian didn't want to see his sister like this, but there was nothing he could do. Rather than be sad in the future, it was better to cut the Gordian knot. Jing forget about him. Big brother, I can't do it. Good girl, listen to your big brother. Longao isn't suitable for you. If you continue fighting like this, the one who will be injured in the end will definitely be you. You clearly know the result, so why are you still so stubborn? Long Jing didn't want to say anything more. Her eyes were still staring at the direction Longao left. Only she knew the determination in her heart. This time, Longao was able to let out a sigh of relief after successfully finding Long Jing. Following this, the four major forces were completely depressed. Because they were caught off guard by the million corpse slaves of the dragon sect. It was very difficult to change the situation from passive to active. Because of this, the four major forces were forced to retreat step by step. The four major forces were very clear that if this continued, the four major forces would suffer heavy losses even if they weren't destroyed. But what could he do? If it was an ordinary army, the four major forces wouldn't be afraid at all. Not to mention millions of soldiers, even if it was tens of millions of soldiers, they wouldn't even bat an eye. However, the current situation was completely different. The enemy's corpse slave army was immortal and could fight against hundreds of soldiers. The four major forces did not come out and allowed the corpse demon army to attack. In any case, they did not come out, so Longao could not do anything about it. This time, the four major forces had sent out a lot of people in order to occupy the 9 prefectures. But at this moment, Longao had completely sealed off the 9 prefectures. He had directly sent out an army of corpse slaves to block all the people of the 4 major forces in the 9 prefectures and started a massacre. The 4 major forces could only watch helplessly as the dragon sect massacred their own forces. There was nothing they could do. Now that the 4 Earth Saints had been killed, the 4 major powers didn't dare to continue sending out experts to attack the Dragon Sect and Long family. They couldn't afford to lose a few more Earth Saints or Sky Saints. 9 provinces, Spirit Domain, Imperial City. Longao came to the Imperial City alone. Although he knew that there were many experts in the Imperial City, including great emperors, Longao still came without the slightest fear. It was also because of this that Duan He and Duan Kai were shocked when they knew that Longao had come. The two of them didn't know why Longao came this time. Could it be that Longao was so confident that he wasn't afraid that the Imperial City would deal with him? Although the Imperial City and the Dragon Sect were like fire and water, Duan He and Duan Kai still welcomed Longao with a smile. Master Long, why have you come this time? Duan He and Duan Kai didn't want to beat around the bush. After all, things had already come to this point, there was no need to dawdle. Longao also knew what the two were thinking. He said, when we fought the beast tied together, I know that the 4 major powers schemed against me. But for the sake of the big picture, I can endure it, just like how the Imperial City endured it. What do you think? Longao's intention for coming to the Imperial City was very simple. He wanted to join forces with the Imperial City. After thinking about it, Longao decided to join forces with the Imperial City to deal with the Nether Mansion, Ethereal Palace, and rank 3 Long family. Although there was an army of millions of corpse slaves, the 4 major powers were too strong. With the dragon sect's current strength and the army of millions of corpse slaves, it was difficult to shake the foundations of the 4 major powers. Because of this, Longao knew that the Imperial City might be able to hold back the 3 major powers. Duan Kai and Duan He, of course, knew what Longao meant. The two began to ponder. After thinking for a while, Duan Kai suddenly raised his head and said with a smile, "Master Long, the grudge between the Imperial City and the Dragon Sect can't be resolved clearly. What you said just now is very right. Since that's the case, we don't have to hide it. Master Long, you came here to join forces with us to deal with the 3 major powers." "That's right. If it was before, the Imperial City would definitely not agree. After all, after the beast tide, the Imperial City's strength skyrocketed. In a situation of 1 against 3, they still didn't fear the 3 major powers. But the problem now was that the Dragon Sect's strength couldn't be underestimated, especially the army of millions of corpse slaves. In this world, there were no eternal enemies and no eternal friends. In the face of absolute benefits, enemies could become friends, and friends could even become enemies. This was the reality. Longao and Duan Kai both understood this reality, so the two were ready to join forces again. The army of millions of corpse slaves and the Imperial City's strength were more than enough to deal with the 3 major powers. Duan Kai knew very well that the Dragon Sect's strength had exceeded their expectations. When the time came, the Dragon Sect would become the strongest force in the 9 states. Whether they would interfere in the 9-state spirit realm was still unknown. "Master Long, since we've said this, then I'll also state my position. If we join forces and destroy the Nether Mansion, Ethereal Palace, and the 3rd-rank Long family, how will the benefits be divided?" Longao smiled because he was waiting for this sentence. Longao knew very well that since Duan Kai had already talked about benefits, then he believed that Duan Kai valued this alliance very much. At least he had thought of the results and the division of benefits. In the previous alliance, Duan Kai had never talked about any division of benefits. This was the difference. Because of this, Longao knew that he didn't come in vain. Then, the two began to discuss how to form an alliance and how to divide the benefits. In the end, the two decided that once the 3 major powers were destroyed, the 9 states would belong to the Dragon Sect. The Imperial City of the 9-state spirit realm would take 3/4 of the 9-state spirit realm. The remaining quarter, which was the area around Sin City, would belong to Longao. For this result, no matter how the two looked on the surface, they both agreed. P.S. I fell asleep in front of the computer at 2:30 last night and woke up at 5:40 in the morning. Many people are cursing. Little 9 wants to say that no author can work as hard as Little 9. This kind of update is enough to look down on everyone. Those who like it will continue to support, and those who don't will leave quietly. Little 9's hard work is obvious. Chapter 613. Longao and Duan Kai were actually not satisfied with this result. Both of them wanted to dominate the 9 states, including the 9-state spirit realm. However, both of them could only choose to compromise for the time being for their mutual benefit. As for the destruction of the 3 forces, it was unknown whether the Dragon Sect and the Imperial City would go to war. The Imperial City suddenly changed sides and allied with the Dragon Sect to deal with the 3 forces. It could be said that the entire 9 states was shaken. Everyone, including the 3 forces, couldn't figure out what the Imperial City was thinking. Things had already reached this point. Was the Imperial City out of their minds? However, the truth was already in front of them. The Dragon Sect's million corpse slave army was already a headache for the 3 forces. Now, with the addition of the Imperial City, it was even more of a headache. However, the 3 forces had no way to destroy it. Back then, Longao killed Duan Kai's son. Later, the Imperial City also participated in framing Longao. Logically speaking, the Imperial City and the Dragon Sect should not rest until one of them was dead. Longao wasn't summoned. The three forces were very suspicious because the dragon sect's power didn't seem to be able to tempt the Imperial City. In the end, the three forces came to a conclusion. The Imperial City wanted to monopolize the million-corpse slave army, so they chose to ally with the dragon sect to deal with them. As for Longao's matter, only Duan Kai and Duan He knew. It was also because of this that the two instantly understood what Longao wanted to do. Retreating in order to advance. This move had to be said to be very clever. Otherwise, the four forces wouldn't have opened the teleportation channel. As long as the teleportation channel between the ordinary spirit realm and the nine-state spirit realm was not opened, not to mention the million-corpse slave army, even if the dragon sect had tens of millions of corpse slaves, it would be nonsense. However, things had already reached this point. The Imperial City naturally wouldn't reveal Longao's secret. The sudden alliance between the Imperial City and the dragon sect could be said to be pressing step by step. The three forces didn't dare to meet force with force. The advantages of both sides were obvious. The three forces weren't fools. They couldn't continue like this. In the end, they could only benefit the Imperial City. 9-state spirit realm, 3rd grade dragon family hall. Patriarch, why did the dragon sect suddenly ally with the Imperial City? TMPH, taking drastic measures. Longao wants to retreat in order to advance. Patriarch, what is the meaning of this? If I'm not mistaken, the Longao wasn't summoned by the Long family at all. The Longao did this because he wanted us to open the teleportation channel so that the million-corpse demon army could enter the 9-state spirit domain. This move is really ruthless. It's all because of our carelessness. We can't blame anyone else. So that was the case. Long Yang had never thought that Longao would make such a move. This time, everyone had been tricked by Longao. Fortunately, their family's foundation was there. Otherwise, Longao would really pull the rug out from under them. The consequences would be unimaginable. Patriarch, what should we do now? Longao's intention is actually very simple. He wants to hide in the dark and form an alliance with the Imperial City. In the end, it will be a dog-eat-dog situation. Not only does the Longao want to destroy the three major powers, he also wants to destroy the Imperial City. How shameless. Long Yang didn't speak, but his face was very gloomy. This was because he had never thought that the Longao would be even sharper after his return. He didn't seem to be as impulsive as before. According to the information he had received, the Longao was an extremely impulsive person. Otherwise, the Longao wouldn't have broken into the Ghost King sect and Ethereal Palace alone. We'll wait and see. From now on, the family will not interfere in the war between the two sides. I want to see what Longao wants. Patriarch, are we just going to let it go like this? Long Yang was shocked when he heard the Patriarch's words. Because the Longao and the Imperial City had formed an alliance, the consequences would be unimaginable if they were to gain the upper hand. At that time, it would be much more difficult for the family to turn the situation around. How could Long Morwen not know what Long Yang meant? He snorted and said, "Do as I say." Long Yang nodded and immediately left. In the following days, Dragon Sect and Imperial City formed an alliance. The rank 3 Long family suddenly withdrew, and now it was 2 against 2. The remaining Ethereal Palace and Nether Mansion could hardly resist the attacks of Imperial City and Dragon Sect. The sudden withdrawal of the Dragon Sect and the Imperial City made them very happy. They didn't plan to attack the Dragon Sect, but the Ethereal Palace and Nether Mansion. Ever since the 4 Earth Saints were killed by Longhausha of the Dragon Sect, the Ethereal Palace and Nether Mansion were very wary of Longhausha. They didn't dare to continue sending experts to the Dragon Sect or the Dragon Sect. As a result, the Dragon Sect and the Imperial City kept pressing on while the Ethereal Palace and Nether Mansion kept retreating. Just when Longao was about to go all out, he was shocked. He didn't dare to be careless and immediately left the spirit domain of the 9 states and flew towards the Dragon Sect. As soon as he stepped into the Dragon Sect, Longao's expression changed. He didn't dare to be careless and immediately went to the back mountain. Big brother Chelene, why did you call me back so urgently? Longao was very curious because the fire Chileen had never called him like this before. Could it be that something big had happened? Before the fire Chileen could speak, a terrifying energy suddenly shrouded the heaven and earth. Longao couldn't be more familiar with this energy. It was the ancestor of the Chileen clan, the immemorial Chileen. Why would the immemorial Chileen suddenly come to the dragon sect? Longao couldn't understand. Looking at the immemorial Chileen in front of him, he asked, "Senior Chileen, I wonder why you're looking for me." Longao wasn't a fool. If it wasn't for something, he believed that the Chileen wouldn't summon him like this. The reason was simple: the immemorial Chileen wanted to see him. It was also because of this that Longao was very curious. He didn't know why the immemorial Chileen was looking for him. The identity of the immemorial Chileen was there, as one of the strongest existences in the world. "You're Longao?" "Yes." "Very good. We've already met, so I'll be direct. Where's the immemorial divine dragon? I want to see him." Sure enough, Longao had already guessed that the immemorial Chileen was here to see the immemorial divine dragon and not him. If it was in the past, he would know what to do. But now, the immemorial divine dragon had disappeared. It was impossible to see the immemorial Chileen. Longao had no choice but to tell the truth. "Senior Chileen, to tell you the truth." Then, Longao told the Chileen about the immemorial divine dragon and the heavenly Tao. After listening, the Chileen didn't seem to have any doubts. It nodded and said, "It seems that the immemorial divine dragon was discovered by the heavenly Tao in the end. Longao, since you've become the successor of the immemorial divine dragon, then cultivate well and strive to avenge him." The Chileen knew that the immemorial divine dragon had disappeared. In that case, wouldn't the Chileen be looking for him for something else? Chapter 614. Longao, since the immemorial divine dragon has disappeared, if you want to break through quickly, you can join my Chileen clan to cultivate. How about it? Hearing this, the fire Chileen was delighted. The fire Chileen knew that the ancestor seemed to think highly of Longao. With the ancestor's personal guidance, Longao's strength would increase greatly in a short time. However, Longao shook his head and said with a smile, "Senior Chileen, I want to rely on my own strength to cultivate." The immemorial Chileen seemed to have guessed it and was not surprised at all. It nodded and said, "The fire Chileen will stay here to help you in the future." With that, the immemorial Chileen suddenly disappeared. At this time, the fire Chileen said happily, "Longao, you are really amazing to be able to make the ancestor descend." Without waiting for Longao to speak, the fire Chileen continued, "Longao, there is something I don't understand. Why didn't you agree to the ancestor's request?" "What do you mean?" "Longao, maybe you don't know, but the ancestor's meaning is very clear. As long as you are willing to join the Chileen clan, you will receive the ancestor's personal guidance. At that time, you will be able to soar to the sky." Could he really soar to the sky? Longao obviously understood the meaning of the fire Chileen's words, but he did not think so. This time, the immemorial Chileen suddenly descended. Longao was very clear that the immemorial Chileen was not so simple. He always felt that this matter was a little strange, but he did not know what was wrong. Because of this, Longao was very wary of the immemorial Chileen. In this case, how could Longao agree to join the Chileen clan? If something happened, wouldn't he be like a sheep in a tiger's mouth? Longao did not tell the fire Chileen about his wariness. No matter what, the fire Chileen was still a member of the Chileen clan. If he and the immemorial Chileen were to choose, Longao was sure that the fire Chileen would definitely choose the ancestor and not him. Longao didn't blame the fire Chileen because he would have made the same choice if he were in the same position. "Big brother Chileen, the enmity between me and the four major forces has already reached the point of being incompatible like fire and water. If I choose to leave at this time, what will happen to my family and sect?" Of course, the fire Chileen knew about Longao's matter, so he didn't care much about it. He just felt sorry for Longao. In the fire Chileen's view, Longao missing this opportunity in vain was really not a wise move. If he could enter the Qilin clan and receive the personal guidance of the old ancestor, he could completely become a supreme Dao martial artist in the future. Longao, since the old ancestor has asked me to follow you, I will help you guard the dragon sect from now on. Longao was overjoyed. Only at this moment did he finally understand something. He had always treated the Qilin as a friend, but the Qilin didn't seem to treat him as a friend. Longao vaguely remembered that ever since he told the Fire Qilin about the primordial Qilin, the Fire Qilin's attitude towards him directly took a 180-degree turn. In other words, the reason why the Fire Qilin helped him was largely because of the primordial Qilin. He thought too highly of himself. Longao was helpless, but he didn't say anything. For this continent where strength was respected, he must first make himself stronger if he wanted to get respect. Big brother Qilin, with the power of the elixir this time, I wonder if your injuries have recovered to the peak. Longao didn't continue to dwell on this issue. He was very concerned about the Fire Qilin's injuries because the stronger the Fire Qilin was, the more advantageous it would be for the sect. As for the Fire Qilin, Longao had already thought it through. Since the Fire Qilin didn't treat him as a friend, then why should he treat him like this? In other words, from this moment on, Longao reassessed the Fire Qilin's position in his heart. At most 10 days, my injuries will smoothly recover to the peak state. This is all thanks to the power of your elixir. However, the power is too little. If I can absorb the power of the elixir, I might be able to break through to the supreme Dao realm in one fell swoop. Longao's heart was very indifferent. In the beginning, he treated the Fire Qilin as a true friend, so even if he gave the Fire Qilin the elixir, there wouldn't be any problem. However, the problem now was that the Fire Qilin didn't treat him as a friend at all. So, would Longao give all the power of the elixir to the Fire Qilin? Big brother Qilin, I still have something to do. I won't disturb you anymore. Seeing the Fire Qilin nodding, Longao turned around and left. His heart was very heavy because until now, he still didn't know why the primordial Qilin suddenly descended. For some reason, Longao kept having a bad premonition. The primordial Qilin seemed to be up to something. The dragon seal called him. Longao returned to his residence and immediately entered the dragon seal space. He asked, Long Fu, why did you summon me in such a hurry? Master, the primordial Qilin just came to find you. If I'm not wrong, it should be for the dragon seal. As expected. Longao could only think of the dragon seal because the dragon seal was the most powerful divine weapon of the primordial divine dragon. However, Longao didn't understand. Since the primordial Qilin wanted the dragon seal, why didn't it take it by force? No matter what, according to the comparison of the primordial Qilin's strength, once the primordial Qilin took action, he wouldn't have the slightest ability to resist. As if he could see Longao's thoughts, Long Fu said, Master, the primordial Qilin is on guard. If the old master doesn't disappear, the primordial Qilin will be in trouble. So, before it has full confidence, the primordial Qilin won't take action. So that's how it is. Longao was also relieved because he was very afraid of the primordial Qilin. After thinking for a while, he said, since the primordial Qilin has targeted me, it seems that I have to be careful. No one knows when the primordial Qilin will descend again. The primordial Qilin was one of the most powerful existences in the world besides Tian Dao and the Oracle. Once it took action, who in the family or the dragon sect could stop it? But even so, Longao was still very dignified. No one knew when the primordial Qilin would appear again. Master, the primordial Qilin is afraid of the old master. So, as long as you insist that the old master has disappeared, I believe that with the primordial Qilin's caution, as long as it doesn't receive accurate information, it will definitely not act rashly. Of course, Longao understood Long Fu's meaning. However, one could never be too careful. What if the primordial Qilin really wanted to take the risk? In any case, the primordial divine dragon had disappeared and no one could stop the primordial divine dragon. Longao shrugged helplessly and said, it seems that I can only take one step at a time. If worse comes to worst, I'll just have to fight. Long Fu really liked Longao's personality. He was not afraid of difficulties and would bravely press forward. No matter what difficulties he encountered, he would never give up. P.S. Allow little Ju to apologize first. From tomorrow onwards, I will write 5 chapters a day. The 5 chapters 10 today, I will make it up when I have time. Little Ju has a splitting headache today, and even feels a little dizzy. I am really too tired, so I am preparing to rest well for a month. At the end of next month, I will continue to explode. There is no need for everyone to scold. After all, little Ju also needs a good body. If he collapses from exhaustion, little Ju will suffer, and not those people who are scolding him. Chapter 6:15. Longao was very wary of the ancient Qilin. Although Long Fu had said that he could temporarily intimidate the ancient Qilin, he was keenly aware that this wasn't a long-term plan. Longao was keenly aware that once the ancient Qilin took the risk and attacked, he would be in big trouble. How could he resist the ancient Qilin? Master, the Master God Diviner has imparted to you the Tao of divine calculation. You must work hard to cultivate it. It will be of great help to you. Longao nodded. How could he not know this? The fact that the Tao of divine calculation could become the Master God Diviner's greatest trump card was proof of how powerful it was. Longao knew that even if the Tao of divine calculation couldn't divine his own fate, it could divine the fate of others. This way, he would be able to divine the fate of his family and friends at any time in the future. However, the Tao of divine calculation was simply too difficult. Ever since returning from the outer sea, Longao had been trying to comprehend the Tao of divine calculation, but he still hadn't had the slightest clue. Helplessly shrugging, Longao gloomily said, Long Fu, you might not know, but the Tao of divine calculation is all-encompassing. If you want to completely comprehend it, you won't even be able to think about it in 100 years. As if thinking of something, Longao suddenly asked, Long Fu, do you know the Master God Diviner? Long Fu nodded. Back then, before the battle between the 2 old masters and the heavenly Tao, the Master God Diviner had already found the 2 old masters. He hoped that they could temporarily avoid him, or they would definitely die. Then why did Long Tian and the primordial divine dragon insist on fighting the heavenly Tao? Longao was very curious. Since the Master God Diviner had already divined their fates, why did the 2 of them still insist on making trouble for the heavenly Tao? Longao was keenly aware that since the Master God Diviner had already found the 2 of them, he would definitely reveal his identity. Since that was the case, had Long Tian and the primordial divine dragon lost their minds? Or could it be that Long Tian and the primordial divine dragon were really so confident that they could kill the heavenly Tao? Back then, if Master God Diviner hadn't sought out the 2 old masters, perhaps they wouldn't have chosen to fight against the heavenly Tao. Because of Master God Diviner, the 2 old masters didn't believe in fate and swore to fight against it. In the end, they perished. So that was the case. In the end, Long Tian and the Primeval Divine Dragon were simply too confident. They didn't even think about Master God Diviner's words. The more Master God Diviner acted like this, the more Long Tian and the Primeval Divine Dragon resisted fate. Were Long Tian and the Primordial Divine Dragon right or wrong? No one could explain this point because Long Tian and the Primordial Divine Dragon didn't want to believe in fate. They wanted to control their own fate. Was that wrong? The only mistake was that the heavenly Tao was too powerful. Long Tian and the Primordial Divine Dragon had overestimated their own strength and ended up dying. Master, you've been showing off too much during this time. If the heavenly Tao finds out that you're the successor of the old masters, or if the Primeval Qilin tells the heavenly Tao about this, the consequences can be imagined. Longao was completely confident that the Primeval Qilin wouldn't tell the heavenly Tao that he was the successor of the Primeval Divine Dragon. Otherwise, when the Primeval Qilin saw the Primeval Divine Dragon, it would have already reported it to the heavenly Tao. Master, just in case, you have to get stronger as soon as possible. At the very least, you have to reach the Divine Tao. Only then will you have the strength to contend against unnecessary trouble. Longao wanted to laugh and cry. Martial artists of the Supreme Tao, how could Longao not want to reach this kind of realm? He didn't continue to dwell on it because reaching the divine Tao realm wasn't something that could be done overnight. On the path of cultivation, besides talent and hard work, luck also played a large role. The sudden arrival of the Prime Valchiline had disrupted Longao's overall plan. Originally, Longao wanted to eliminate the 4 major powers first. But now, the Prime Valchiline's wild ambition forced him to think of a way to deal with the Heavenly Tao and the Prime Valchiline. No matter what, no one knew when the Prime Valchiline and the Heavenly Tao would come looking for him. With the strength of both sides, he had no chance at all. This was the consequence of strength. Besides this matter, Longao was constantly worried about Yu Yin and Aoshue. He didn't know what was going on with the two of them. Especially Aoshue. How was she treated after being sent back to the Phoenix clan? Would she be able to smoothly pass through the 9 times of unconsciousness? All sorts of things came rushing at him. Longao was very vexed. No one was willing, including his grandfather and parents. Now, no one knew what had happened to Longao. Back mountain, peak. Cold wind constantly blew on Longao as he quietly sat on the ground. Longao was comprehending the Tao of divination and also constantly comprehending the primal chaos stone tablet. According to the Prime Val Divine Dragon, as one of the 12 primal chaos stone tablets in the world, each primal chaos stone tablet contained a cultivation method and a martial skill. With the 9-cycle reincarnation technique, Longao's greatest wish was to comprehend the primal chaos stone tablet as soon as possible and obtain the supreme martial skills within. Although he had already been recognized by the primal chaos stone tablet, Longao was still unable to comprehend the martial skills within the primal chaos stone tablet after such a long time. When he fought with Wang Hao at the seaside, the primal chaos stone tablet had suddenly comprehended the power of origin and a martial skill had appeared. However, Longao didn't recognize any of the words within. Otherwise, he would have already started cultivating the martial skills within the primal chaos stone tablet. Master, the blood-sucking blade has been refined. Hearing Long Fu's words, Longao was overjoyed and immediately took out the blood-sucking blade from the dragon seal space. At this moment, the blood-sucking blade was completely golden in color and emitted traces of dragon aura. A bloody smell assaulted his senses. Master, this blood-sucking blade not only merged with the bones of the 5-clawed golden dragon, I even soaked the blood-sucking blade in the blood pool for 3 days and 3 nights. If there are no accidents, the blood-sucking blade's power will increase by 3 times. Why don't you try it? Nodding, Longao stood up. Holding the blood-sucking blade in his hand, he looked at the endless void in front of him. Suddenly, the blood-sucking blade in Longao's hand slashed out. The seemingly simple slash actually gathered all the strength in Longao's body. This slash could be said to be Longao's strongest slash. Rumble. Bloody dragon's breath directly broke through the surrounding space. Traces of spatial cracks appeared in the surroundings as if it wanted to devour everything. This kind of power also gave Longao a fright because he clearly knew that the power of the wild devouring blade had indeed increased by more than 3 times. Longao had full confidence that with his current strength, once he used the blood-sucking blade, he would be able to instantly kill a saint of the same level. Even if he encountered a middle saint or a high saint, he was confident that he could win. As for a peak saint, without a battle, Longao truly didn't know if he could defeat a peak saint. P.S. Watch TV in the morning, shop in the afternoon, the remaining 4 chapters will be updated at night. Chapter 616. Longao was pleasantly surprised. The refining of the blood-sucking saber had increased its power by more than 3 times. However, although Longao was pleasantly surprised, he still did not dare to delay in the slightest because he knew that the most important thing was to increase his own strength. That was why Longao still chose to comprehend the Tao of divination and the so-called Chaos Stone Tablet. Spirit domain of the 9 states. Imperial City and the Million Corpse Demon Army were still pressing on, attacking Ethereal Palace and Serene Dark Mansion. The sudden withdrawal of the rank 3 Long family had put Ethereal Palace and Serene Dark Mansion in a passive position. In the end, they could only go into seclusion, allowing Imperial City and the million corpse demons to clamor. Imperial City was extremely happy. The complete victory this time was definitely beneficial to Imperial City. Dragon Sect, Back Mountain Forbidden Area. Longao was cultivating quietly. At this moment, there was a fluctuation in space. Longao just stood up and saw the space being forcefully torn apart. Long Ming's figure appeared instantly. Seeing Long Ming, Longao was overjoyed. He asked impatiently, "Long Ming, what happened?" Ever since Long Ming entered the 9 underworld space, Longao had been worried. At this moment, he could feel that Long Ming was severely injured. Could it be that he was injured by the 9 royal families? "Big brother, I succeeded in taking revenge this time, but I caused a lot of trouble." Then, Long Ming told him everything that happened in the 9 underworld space. It turned out that Long Ming entered the 9 underworld space to take revenge. He experienced life and death situations, and his cultivation increased rapidly. In the end, he killed the 9 royal family patriarchs. However, the 9 underworld sacred ground suddenly sent experts to pursue Long Ming. It could be said that if Long Ming did not come out in time, he would have died in there. "Long Ming, what is the 9 underworld's sacred ground?" "Big brother, you don't know. In the 9 underworld space, the 10 royal families do not rule. There is only one superpower that rules the entire 9 underworld space. This superpower is the 9 underworld's sacred ground." Long Ao nodded. He already understood what Long Ming was talking about. Long Ming's breakthrough this time allowed him to speak. This was also something that Long Ao was very happy about. "Long Ming, if you don't forcefully break through this passageway, will anyone be able to?" "Yes, there are many experts in the abysmal holy ground who can open the passageway. However, for the sake of balance, the abysmal holy ground will not do so. Otherwise, the people of the abysmal holy ground would have already opened the passageway." Hearing this, Long Ao heaved a sigh of relief. "Long Ming, what are you going to do?" "Big brother, I've taken my revenge." However, according to my father's inheritance, as the clan leader of the 9 Netherworld Earthly Tiger clan, I must return to destroy the 9 Netherworld Holy Land and dominate the 9 Netherworld space. Long Ao was very curious. He didn't know what Long Ming was trying to do because he knew that the 9 Nether space was dominated by the 10 royal families. Why did the 9 Nether Earth Tiger clan want to destroy the 9 Nether sacred ground and dominate the 9 Nether space? Long Ao couldn't figure it out. Before Long Ao could ask, Long Ming had already said, "Big brother, you don't know. My 9 Abyss Earthly Tiger clan was originally a part of the 9 Abyss sacred ground, but the 9 Abyss sacred ground was afraid that we would threaten the safety of the 9 Abyss Earthly Tiger clan, so they joined forces with the 9 sovereign families to exterminate my clan." "I see." Long Ao understood everything. In the end, the 9 sovereign families didn't have the strength to exterminate the 9 Abyss Earthly Tiger clan, and the 9 Nether sacred ground was the mastermind. Long Ao also understood what Long Ming was trying to say, but he was very solemn. If it was the 9 sovereign families, with the current strength of the Dragon Sect, they definitely had the strength to fight. However, this matter involved the 9 Nether sacred ground, and things would become very troublesome. Long Ming had just said that the 9 Nether sacred ground's position and strength in the 9 Nether space was far superior to the 4 major forces. If that was the case, it wouldn't be easy for Long Ming to destroy the 9 Nether sacred ground and take back the 9 Nether overlord. "Big brother, I need your help." "No problem. We have to think about this at length. However, I have to deal with the 4 major forces first. When the Dragon Sect's strength is enough to contend with the 9 Nether sacred ground, I will help you settle the 9 Nether space." Long Ming, of course, understood his brother's current situation. He nodded and seemed to be a little tired. He immediately returned to the Dragon Seal space to rest. Long Ao was very happy with Long Ming's successful return. He also let out a sigh of relief. No matter what, Long Ming being able to return safely from the 9 Nether sacred ground's pursuit was already a blessing in itself. 9 Nether sacred ground? Longao stood quietly at the peak of the mountain, looking at the endless void in the distance. Various things were in his mind, including the 4 major forces and the 9 nether sacred ground. Long Ming was his brother. This time, no matter what happened, even if it was a mountain of swords and a sea of fire, he had to charge forward. However, this wasn't the best time. Longao had already thought of a plan. When the 4 major forces were completely dealt with, the dragon sect would dominate the 9 states, including the 9-state spirit domain. At that time, the dragon sect's strength would increase greatly. At that time, he and Long Ming would bring the dragon sect to the 9 nether space and find trouble with the 9 nether sacred ground. He believed that the chances of success would be greatly increased. Strength. Longao understood one thing. Whether it was to deal with the 4 major forces or the 9 nether space, other than increasing his own strength, he had to deal with the sect's strength as quickly as possible. Corpse slave army. Longao thought about it and finally decided to develop a corpse slave army in the continent. Long Fu only refined 1 million corpse slaves. If he refined 1 million corpse slaves, at that time, the dragon sect wouldn't have to be afraid even if it was 1 against 4, including the 9 nether sacred ground. Longao stayed in the dragon sect for a while and immediately returned to the city of Sin quietly. In the following days, the Imperial City and the dragon sect joined forces to attack the Ethereal Palace and the Serene Dark Mansion. According to the Imperial City's original intention, since the rank 3 Long family had taken the initiative to withdraw, they would deal with the Serene Dark Mansion and the Ethereal Palace first. But as soon as Longao returned to Sin City, he immediately gave the order for the corpse slave army to split out 300,000 soldiers and start attacking the rank 3 Long family. Regardless of the situation, the attack was extremely fast and powerful, not giving the rank 3 Long family any time to think. The dragon sect's sudden action completely confused the rank 3 Long family, the Serene Dark Mansion, and the Ethereal Palace. They didn't know what the dragon sect was thinking. After all, the rank 3 Long family had already withdrawn. Was the dragon sect so free that they wanted to recruit another powerful enemy? The Imperial City couldn't figure it out, so Duan Kai personally came to the city of Sin and secretly met with Longao. As soon as they met, Duan Kai immediately asked, "Master Long, what is the meaning of this? Why are you attacking the rank 3 Long family? You're tuning in to the Celestial War YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories,